Hey guys, welcome back to Off the Clock with Tom Devlin, where I'm not working. I'm just hanging out with my good buddies and my talented friends and everybody of the like-minded way of taking the road less traveled. And with me today is a very good friend. We've become very close in the last couple of years. This is Daniel Roebuck. You guys might know Daniel from his time on Lost. You might know him from a little movie called The Munsters, Rob Zombie's version. You also may know him from the new horror masterpiece that it's being hailed as, Terrifier 3. But Danny's credits go way back. He's been in everything, and we're going to talk about it all. But thank you so much for being here.
So, now, do we wait for applause? I'm assuming people are applauding at home
That'd be
in their
great.
living room.
I hope so.
Are they?
I hope
Please,
so.
thank you.
No, you know what? They're
Thank
not
you.
applauding. They're hitting IMDb. They're like, I know this guy.
yeah, I
What
know
do I know this
guy.
guy from? I've seen this guy.
Well, the thing, I mean, it's funny. We've just come from a Bill Phillipput's Days of the Dead, and you'd be surprised. It's so interesting. I'm going to come up and go, oh yeah, I liked you. Wait a minute. Oh my God. Wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. That was because if I'm doing my job right, I shouldn't look like myself.
I mean, you're a bit of a chameleon, especially over the years. Like as your hair changed colors, and you definitely have a look right now that is recognizable. But there's times that I'm watching just something at home and been like, oh my God, that's Danny. There he is.
Yeah, no, I've been so. If you look at IMDb, the numbers aren't exactly true because it doesn't count. Matlock's listed at 1, not 53.
Right.
Lost is listed at 1.
53 episodes.
Of maybe even 55.
Wow.
Because I did a few before I was Cliff, but so I think I've been at this point in almost nearly 200 movies.
Wow.
And episodes of TV.
I would have actually guessed more.
Oh, yeah? But the TV, that does include the TV movies, and then episodes of TV, probably episodes, because I had a show on, we did 180 episodes, so that counts, so closer to 400 or 500.
Right. Well, it all starts for you back in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And I myself am from the Poconos, East
Yeah.
Stroudsburg, so neighboring cities.
We're from, as the crow flies,
Yeah.
we're from about 52 miles from each other.
52 miles, which in high school in my Nissan XE pickup truck was like 28 minutes.
Yeah, 28 minutes and about 74 cents.
Man. When I left Pennsylvania, it was $1.04 for gas.
Yeah, oh, my God.
But one of the things I didn't realize where you were from when we first met.
Yeah.
Because you had come to the Monster Museum and we got to talking, and it came out pretty early. But one of the cool things is I brought up the Lehigh Valley Mall and the theater there. I used to go watch Rocky Horror at, and you said that you had kind of pioneered that Rocky Horror.
I would be able to credit myself, Scott Brunell, Linda Ammond, a few other people who aren't like Debbie Jo Weaver. She's passed away. We were the people who started the Lehigh Valley Rocky Horror Players.
And that was the longest running Rocky Horror Picture Show in the country when I left Pennsylvania.
Oh, it was, yeah, because the theater in Philadelphia, was it Philadelphia, New York, where Sal Piro was? That was maybe the longest. But then they remodeled the theater, so they lost they lost a few years. It was running like when you saw it. We started it in what would have been 1977 or 78, and you didn't go see it till the 80s.
99.
99. So
98, 99. Me and my best friend in the world, Jamie, we used to go up every Friday night for a little while, and then we skipped out on our prom, went to a punk show, and then went to Rocky Horror.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. It was something, and we were so, I think I told you, I mean, we took it seriously. There were bylaws, actually, with that movie, or were they BI laws? And here's how stupid I am. Now, we're doing the Rocky Horror Players, and I'm riff-raff, and I'm skinny, so don't look at me now and think how the fuck. So I'm skinny. And, my whole life is about gluing the head on, doing the time warp, trying to hit on the girls in the audience, all that stuff. So it's just funny how good God is in life. So in what would it have been? 93 or 98, one of those two. It was the 20th or the 25th anniversary of Rocky Horror at 20th Century Fox. and I got to go
Oh,
as
it
a
was
guest.
it was '98 because they came out with that DVD.
Oh, at the same time.
Yeah, with the raised letters on it.
Okay, so Tim Curry, Nell Carter, they're all there, and it's amazing. But I'm going to tell you something, and people are going to think I'm an idiot. I swear to you, if there was a Bible, I can swear on the book called Devlin. I swear to you, I was watching the movie, and I was like, "Oh, this is about being gay."
See, I don't think it is.
They said, "Well, don't dream it, be it," and they're
I
having
I
oral
underst-
sex with Tom. They're having oral sex with
Listen,
each other. And they're dudes.
They're aliens. They don't know. They don't know they're aliens. I think what it's about is a fish out of water. The reason that I found that movie and that play so inviting to me was because I didn't fit in. I was a horror fan that didn't fit in. I loved motorcycles. My friends didn't. I loved 70s choppers, Vans, and Kiss in the 90s.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't fit
when Gene Simmons was already a grandfather.
Right. So, but at the same time, as an alien Frankenfurter coming down, I mean, who doesn't think leather jackets and fishnets and corsets are awesome? You know, I'm not a cross-dresser, but I could see the appeal of, like, but that's cool.
Well,
I want to be that.
And I'll tell you something. And I've met Tim Curry over the years. There is no, like, we're just talking two dudes. Both of us have two kids, a boy and a girl.
Right.
We've made other humans. We're in a very
procreated.
Yeah. I like to think made. I like to remind them without
Yes.
my input, they wouldn't be here.
They wouldn't be here without you.
But so let's just say that by all accounts, we did not go down that road. But what I'm saying is, Tim Curry was sexy. Now, there's a lot of stuff working there. Like, he was sexy, and you guys, like, this is an interesting thing, because I've never actually talked about this, but I'd love to get your opinion, not just my stupid opinion. So Rocky Horror, like community theater, like volunteering at the haunted house, for people like you and me, that's where we had to go. I couldn't fit in with my high school friends.
Right.
Frankly, they were smarter than me. They were more interested in either sports or whatever. They were on a different level than I was, and I was always an old soul. You were an old soul in the 90s. I was an old soul in the 60s and 70s, right? So we would find these outlets. So hear me out. Rocky Horror being an outlet for people who may have felt not ambiguous to sexuality, but who may have just felt like I was very much more attuned to ideas of sex than the kids I grew up with. Like, I matured faster. Even, you know how hard it is to get served in Pennsylvania at a state store. At 15, I could walk into a state store and walk out with booze and nobody batted an eye, because I was doing theater and presenting myself. Because when I did community theater, you're either a kid in community theater and then you never know what kind of creeps are going to come after you, or, I upped my game, acted like an adult.
You became the creep.
I became, and, had my own fun. No, I upped my game, became an adult, and then was an adult, right? So I'm a long way around, and I think this is the kind of show we could talk about this.
Of course.
I think there is no... Glee was the Rocky Horror for a little while. And as two dads, our kids, not our kids, but kids in the world are in peril. And they are... because they don't have an outlet like
they don't
Rocky
have
Horror.
it.
And they're sitting in a room and they're getting TikTok by some creep who's trying to tell them that their sexual identity is not what their sexual, and they're falling for it because they're being sucked in deeper and deeper and deeper.
That's where I defend the sexuality statements in Rocky Horror. I think is about discovering who you are, but it doesn't tell you who you should be.
No,
it doesn't say you should be a transvestite from transsexual Transylvania.
And that's interesting. I didn't ever think about it.
They just say
aliens.
They are aliens. They're trying to figure it out. They don't really know. I absolutely think I loved He-Man. I love He-Man. So when as a teenager seeing Rocky be, of course, if I were going to make a man, I'd make one that looks like He-Man, you know, and but I really love Meatloaf in that movie. Like
Terrific.
I wanted to be Eddie more than anything. I wanted to be this badass dude that had the hot babe that could play the saxophone. Like I thought that was so cool.
Opportunity bless my soul.
I loved it. I love everything. And the Don't Dream It Be It has been a motto of mine since I was 15, 14 when I was real into Rocky
Well, when
Horror.
you make that point, you know, I think you're right to connect that with this, but so again, but that wasn't like Don't Dream It Be It in your room where you're playing video games and you're not part of the world. It's part of the world.
Let's go drop out of high school and move to LA and work on X-Files. That's stop talking about it and do it.
You may have gone a little farther than I at least got my diploma from Bethlehem Catholic.
Did that help you? Did it help you in acting?
Did it help me in acting? No, but
it's an accomplishment though.
No, can I tell you? Let's talk about it for a second. I have some of my dearest friends from that period of time are still my dearest friends.
Yeah.
So I have no regrets that I was in high school.
I have no regrets about my high school experience, and but as soon as I locked in, it all ties to Rocky Horror in a little weird way. As soon as I locked into wanting to be a makeup effects artist in the 10th grade, there was nothing stopping me. I had those Fangoria ads about Joe Blasco's Makeup Center West.
Yeah.
There was nothing stopping me. I saved every dollar, and me and my best friend Jamie, we packed the truck and we moved.
You moved to Beverly.
We moved to
Hills that is.
Well, we moved to Gower and Gower and Hollywood.
We didn't know anything, and I
corner of Hollywood and Gower.
Oh, gee, and I lived at
right by the Pep Boys there.
Oh my God.
And that was I was working on X-Files before my class graduated.
Isn't that something?
But Jamie had graduated the year before, so we were dating at the time. Still my best friend in the world, and I am very close with a lot of my high school friends. But the thing is she's out of school. We live together. I wasn't going to high school anymore. Like my girlfriend lived on her own, you know. And,
yeah.
I mean, we were. It's like I'm not gonna be like, bye. I gotta go to school. It was like, no, let's. So halfway through the year, like Christmas break, we packed the truck and moved, and I started Joe Blasco's as soon as I could, and it didn't do anything for me except get me a really good internship.
Well, and Joe used to come in a video store I worked at.
You know, he lives here.
We're here
in Vegas.
Let's call him up.
He came to the museum recently, and he called me, and he's like, "I'm so proud." He was so my full circle moment in life. For people that don't know, Joe Blasco is a makeup artist of the 60s and 70s.
Right, out of New York.
He did a lot of soap operas.
Yeah, and when Belushi was Spock,
yeah,
he made the Spock.
Yeah,
ears
and
for
he also
Live.
worked on Ilsa and a lot of cool.
Yeah, he did movies.
A lot of low budget movies, and then he opened an effects school, which I attended because Tom Savini told me to when I was 14, and I was like, okay, and so. I attended this effects school, and they wouldn't let me take makeup effects. They would only let me take the beauty first. You have to take beauty, the Joe Blasco course.
Yeah,
so
you gotta take beauty
I took that, and then there was no effects course. There was no teacher, so they're like, I'll help you out with an internship. Oh. And I went and interned at Matthew Mungle's, and it changed my life. But Joe was my teacher on and off. He would come in and teach, and he walks in the room and lights it up. Like
a terrific human.
Yeah.
I worked in a video store, and he came in and I mean, like, imagine this. He walks in, and I'm like, "You're Joe Blasco. How do you know who I am?" But because I read Fangoria.
Yeah. I mean, he always had an ad.
You knew who
and
he
he
was.
has a very recognizable face.
Yeah,
I'm just going to take this weird stab, and I think it would be hysterical if you said yes, but you didn't work at Odyssey Video.
No.
Okay.
I worked at
or Dave's Laser
Wide
House.
World of Video. No, not there. I worked at Hollywood and Vine. Like four in Wide World of Video, or it's hard. I'm sorry, that's 40 years ago.
And it wasn't there when I got there.
No, not there. And they had a porno section in the back, and then 2 doors down.
I mean, that's a real video store.
No. In the old days, there was always a porno section in the back.
Adults
but in
only.
those days, someone would rent, and that was when Scarface was the big movie that
Yeah.
came out. Scarface was 2 videos. To buy it cost $99. Talk about a cocaine markup.
Yeah.
Because we know, you and I know what it costs to make a
Yeah.
video is about 48 cents.
40 cents. Yeah.
So $99, and people would rent them, and then we would shrink wrap them and put them on the shelf. And there wasn't 1,000 like Blockbuster. There was 150.
Yeah.
You know, so they'd be on a shelf, and people would buy it thinking they were, because it was sealed, that they were getting something new.
Yeah.
But we would always reseal
I
old
I
ones.
worked at Mr. Video in Mountain Home, Pennsylvania.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, video. That was the video boom. But
So let's take it back to high school for you.
hold on, I don't do one more thing about Rocky Horror. So our Frankenfurter was a guy. Remember, his name was Cam Shipman, and probably more like the character maybe. Cam and I we had the hots for the same girl, and he was a little more flashy, so I never liked Cam. Cam never liked me. But Liz Karasher was, the girl I was in love with. And anyway, so Cam left, and then my friend Scott Brunel, who was, when we started it all, he was Brad, and he was Brad. He was like, Scott. There was never a human like Scott. God wanted him home. He's already been gone now, horribly, 12 years almost, 13 years. But Scott was everything he did was ridiculously funny. When we went to buy, we went to a lingerie store, the Lehigh Valley Mall. They used to have a lingerie store, and he was going to get his Frankenfurter stockings, and they weren't unused to this kind of thing. It turns out, men coming in. So he's like, stockings, and they got it. Yeah, fishnets like those. Yeah, because we didn't know where else to buy them. And the woman goes, well, what size? And he goes, what size are you, Dan? They're not for me. But I remember we bought, years before that, we bought the half stockings to put on our legs,
Yeah.
when we did the, during the,
Yeah.
when you weren't performing, when you were just going to see it, and you'd have your stockings on your leg. Anyway, Scott was he became Frankenfurter, and Scotty was the sweetest, kindest, and the girls, if they knew what a nerd he was, like he and I would buy, our big thing was we found out you could buy Star Wars trading cards at the candy wholesaler, and you didn't have to buy a pack at a time. You could buy
the
a
box,
box
yeah.
and get at least 2 sets out of every box, and the box was like $5. So that was we were such nerds. That was our jam. And then he's playing Frankenfurter, and not dudes, girls throwing themselves at him.
Yeah.
Constantly. Very jealous. Very jealous. They did not throw themselves at riffraff. Anyway, so high school.
Yeah.
Before high school.
I would imagine high school is when you got bit with the acting bug. And did it start with the acting bug, or did you just tell us, how did you end up from Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania to Hollywood?
Sure. I'm going to try to make it quick. Here it is.
Not too quick.
The quick version. Well, because it didn't start in high school. It starts
Before high school.
at 12. At
My daughter is turning 12 this week.
I know.
So this means whatever that I'm going to tell you that my love for what I do reflects back to about 12.
All right. So I hate to tell you,
It's very important time.
Go back to 6.
Oh, God.
I start talking about being on TV. My parents were like, "Oh, Jesus!" This is my father, Elaine, just tell me he fell down the steps. Something happened. There's something wrong with this kid. So I talk about being on TV. They buy me a cardboard.
What did
TV.
your parents do?
My mom was a stay-at-home mom until at some point she was reading The Godfather, and one of my brothers or sister didn't have their diaper changed, and that my father came home because she had been reading The Godfather all day, and I remember he flipped over a couch and had a couple of words for my mother about the kids, in dirty diapers. And I remember she went to work soon after that. And somebody else was a kid. But I had great parents, mom and dad. Wouldn't have different parents. So they gave me a cardboard television. My father dug ditches, and my mother was a stay-at-home mom. My father worked for the city of Bethlehem. I watch a TV show, and this is kind of a key to how one person can make a difference, and they would have no idea. They'd have no idea. I watch a cartoon, a Popeye cartoon, where Popeye's nephews, the little nephews,
Yeah.
they decide they're going to make a cartoon, and they make a cartoon that's like an old fashioned, like the villain ties a girl to the tracks. And my takeaway from that was, I'm going to write a play. Now I'm in first grade, 6 years old, Catholic school, 6 years old, and I drew pictures of what happens in the scenes because that's what they did. They kind of drew the cells. So I didn't know what a cell was. I didn't know. So I drew pictures. Next day I go to school with a pile of papers. And Sister Kathleen says, "What do you have there, Danny?" And I said, "I wrote a play." And she goes, "Oh, you wrote a play." Now, I look back at this moment, if you froze it, Sister Kathleen knew something that I didn't evidently know, which was I didn't know how to read or write.
Right.
She knew that because that was her job, to teach stupid little Danny Roebuck how to read. She had that job. So when I wrote a play, no one was more surprised than she was.
Right.
So she looks at my drawings and she goes, "Well, we're going to have to put on your play." So I credit Sister Kathleen in a moment.
I mean, she could have just said, she could have rolled her eyes and walked away.
Any other teacher would have said, "Sit down." And you write letters to Tom. It's good. Let's interact on this. I tell you, the difference was she was a Catholic nun, and she was an empathetic, beautiful person. And I don't know that teachers in a regular school would have had the time, the energy, the patience. She said, "Let's do your play." So, okay. I had only been performing on my cardboard television. I didn't ever had, my co-stars were my stuffed Mickey Mouse doll. So, she said, "Well, you got to get actors." So there were two other parts. She said, "You got to rehearse." What's that? "Well, you got to practice it." Oh, so she gave us some time, and we didn't go to school. We practiced our play, in the corner, and I told them what to do, and what it was, and then the whole thing is I put it on the, I'd say this scene, we're in a forest, and then we'd act it out, and the next scene. So we're done. I'm gonna just try to get through this fast, but it's all, we're done, and she goes over the phone, like they had the phone on the wall, and she dials office. Sister Margaret Anthony, would you come to room 101? Now I'm shitting my pants. I think my play is so terrible, they're going to literally throw me out of school.
Yeah.
She goes, "Do your play, please, for Sister Margaret Anthony." So we do the play again. Kids are laughing. And Sister Margaret Anthony goes, "Mr. Roebuck, you're going to take this play to every class in this school today." It's not a little thing to believe in somebody.
No, it's huge.
It's huge. Stupid.
It's
Something
huge.
so stupid.
But
makes
that
me so emotional 57 years later.
But I'm going to tell you that those moments. So I mentioned to you off this thing. I don't read. I'm very in school. I was called disabled and disordered and all this, learning disabilities, whatever. But I had one teacher, my resource room teacher, my special ed teacher, who knew that I had something else.
Right.
And I told you, I mentioned casually, I dropped out of high school and moved to Hollywood. With the help of this teacher, setting up the plan. Yeah. I mean, including telling my parents I was graduating early. Because I had art credits that would equal English and science. I mean, it was bullshit, but she knew that she's so important. Her name's Heather Day, and I have searched. You'd think with the internet it would be easy to find her. Her mom, Kathy Day, gave me my first job. She was human resources at Skytop Lodge. I can't find these people anywhere. It's like they don't exist. They were dropped out of the air to put me on my path, and they're gone.
Well, Sister Kathleen, it's odd how things work out, how good God is, and how unique situations are. Sister Kathleen, this story came up, and I told it at an event commemorating the nuns, and so, they wrote about Sister Kathleen and Sister Alice, who was my sixth grade teacher, who I was very much fond of, and the impact these ladies had And they looked up Sister Kathleen, and she had left the order soon after. Hopefully, I wasn't because of my
Because
play.
of your play.
Yeah, she was like fired on the spot. But so my love letter is coming out this year. It's called The Hail Mary, and it's a story about a nun named Sister Kathleen who leads a man to redemption. So, Sister, they write an article about it in their Sisters of St. Joseph magazine. I'm doing it. And they go one more time to find Sister Kathleen. And they ask if she'd like to comment. And I said, I'd love to meet her. She didn't want to meet. But she did say it's unbelievable that, she's talked about, it's nice to know that I had an impact. And then right before we made the movie, she died.
Wow.
And her sister, her sister, tracked me down and gave me her rosary.
Oh, wow. That is just so cool.
Yeah.
I hope someday that I can connect with Heather Day, and I just want to say thank you. The only person that ever believed me, I mean, including my family, like the only person that saw this wild, crazy kid. I asked my mom recently, I said, what did you think when your 17-year-old son packed his truck up and moved to Hollywood? And she goes, oh, I didn't think it would last.
Right.
And I was like, because my parents were very supportive, but she just said, I mean, I thought maybe 3 months, but, and it took me back, like, are you serious? Really?
No,
like,
but you're going to see your parents had something you don't have yet. And that's watching you grow up and knowing you, discretion is the better part of valor.
Right.
Telling you couldn't go would have driven you away from them.
Of course. Of course.
Perhaps.
That was part of the escape plan was, I don't want you to look like a failure to your parents because you're not going to be a failure. You have something you have to do. And either way, with or without, she was just so, she showed me my first movie too. She, not my first movie, but the first movie that changed my understanding of film. She said, I had behavioral issues or whatever. And she was like, if you can make it through this last 2 weeks before summer break with no detention, suspension, just be good. I have a tape for you. I'll let you borrow over the summer break that'll change your life. And she let me borrow Clerks. I don't know if you're a fan of Kevin Smith,
no, of course.
But Clerks. When I watched that movie and I realized this is a movie made by kids that is my teacher just gave me, and it changed the perception of like Hollywood. I was already a Troma fan. I love Full Moon. Like I love do-it-yourself movie making, but then I saw this like artistic. And that led me to Slacker and the steamroll. But there is that one person that can just change your life. And I hope they know. I mean, they don't know. They don't know. They know. They help. I'm sure she was very believing in a lot of her students. And maybe that's why she left, because she got blowback from wanting people to, feel not so disciplined or something. I don't know. Who knows?
Different time, right?
But I think it's amazing that I also think the people that are so successful and enjoy what they're still doing had that once or twice in their life. The other one was my uncle was really a big thing for me. But it sounds like your 6th grade teacher around the same age. When I was 12, my uncle he shaped me up and helped me get my priorities in order, Yeah,
you need a voice. It can't always be your parents. And by the way, as a parent, sometimes you think I need to give them the opportunity to fail here. It's not easy. When people say to me, "Well, I have 2 dogs," that's like having kids.
Not at all.
What you've said is so offensive to me that I can't even begin to tell you.
I can't put
how horrible it is.
I can't put my kids in the kennel when I want to go out to eat dinner.
It's. I'm sorry, and I know people love dogs.
I love it. I got a dog, but it's a dog.
It's a dog, and a human is something, and we see how easily malleable they are, and they are being taken advantage of now.
Yeah.
And we have to protect them. And I don't care where you are politically, and I don't care where you are sexually. we must protect children.
Yeah.
Children have no business discussing sexuality. It's not their business. It's not, they shouldn't be worried about climate control. They shouldn't be worried about who's the president. I remember when they elected Trump, and there was an article in the LA Times, what do we tell our children? Well, you tell them this is
Our
a
president.
democracy.
Yeah.
And this is how, well, I mean, I didn't understand all the Sturm and Drang. I just don't think our children should be worrying about anything, because teenage suicide, children's suicide is up. So guess what? I'm looking right at the camera. You're wrong if you think telling your kid to worry about climate change is going to make their life better. It's terrifying.
The thing is, there's a beauty of living here in Boulder City, and that is, like, I don't feel like that's the topics on my kids' minds. You know what I mean? Yeah. It is, they play in the street here. They go to the park. They do get too much into the video games, but I limit my kids pretty hardcore.
Yeah, I do. My daughter is a voracious reader, but my son, yeah, and he became a fantastic athlete. He plays them now, but he's 27.
Yeah, he's an adult.
That's his call.
Yeah.
My call was, you're not doing. I used to drive around Burbank, and there'd be those, so weird to me, like 22, 23-year-old kids on skateboards and riding bikes, and I'd say, and that's not kids, that's men. I'd say, Bus, see those guys? Yeah, that's never going to be you. You're never going to be on a skateboard. You're going to be working in a store or something. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. What changed my life? So quickly, I went from, I had a ventriloquist doll around the same time I was 6. Then I did my little play. And then at 12, I joined a circus. I was one of the youngest clowns.
Wow.
Working in a circus.
That's awesome.
I was a circus clown. And then I did magic shows, and I did impressions at talent shows, and I was just going to be an entertainer. Like people don't realize now, back then, we had variety shows, and there were people like Rich Little and Frank Gorshin who were in movies but also did impressions, and there was a way to do both. And then I saw the filmed version of Give 'Em Hell, Harry when I was 13 years old. Walked into the theater going to be an entertainer. I walked out of the theater saying, I'm going to be that. That's what I'm going to be. Now, you were fascinated with all the Charlie Band movies. My love was Universal horror movies. And so I started getting the idea, that doesn't come to you naturally, that they're actors, because if they're doing their job,
no,
you should know. But at some point when my brain connected, Boris Karloff was the monster in this. He's Dr. Neiman in this. So he was the monster. Now he's a guy like Dr. Frankenstein. And then you start going, oh, it's the same. They're wearing wigs. They're wearing rubber noses. That's the same actor. That's Lugosi. Now he's got the beard and the hump. So, I started really zoning in on that and the character actor and the makeup. And then all you got to do is watch Man of a Thousand Faces one time and be like, that's it. I'll be that actor who can change himself all the time.
Man of a Thousand Faces was a huge movie for me as an effects artist. It was, I'm going to make all of those characters.
Yeah. And you did.
They're
right next door.
And the thing is with the Universal Monsters, for me, the Universal Monsters starts with the Munsters, because it was on Syndicate.
Yeah, it was on Nick at Night. Nick at Night, right.
And I watched the Munsters religiously, and that, as I became a teenager and fell in love with horror, I got very into the classics, because I'm I'm a natural historian. I like the history of everything. I got very into Frankenstein, The Mummy, Creature of Black Lagoon, and once I learned who Jack Pierce and John Chambers were, and these guys, it was a thing. But that definitely, the Trauma and Full Moon movies appealed to my wild punk rock side with the Trauma, but Full Moon, especially early Charlie Band films, are so rooted in that
old-fashioned. The primevals had
and
stop motion and
subspecies and Castle Freak. They always had the castles and
the Jim Danforth stop motion monster
and lots of they used Dave Allen was
Dave Allen, that's right,
a big
Dave
contributor.
Allen. I got to meet him.
Oh wow.
I got to meet him. I did a play back in the 80s, and our stage manager worked for him.
Oh, that's
so I
awesome.
got to go meet Dave Allen. Oh, what a nice man.
Yeah, he was just a hero of mine, you
Oh,
know.
that's right, Dave
and
Allen.
and but the thing is you it's cool that you were inspired by these genre characters because you had, I mean, really you kicked your career off in pretty a dramatic fashion as far as I know of.
Oh,
You know?
with River's Edge.
Yeah,
Well,
River's Edge.
so
and
I
then-
got to Hollywood in February 2nd or 4th of 1984.
And what was that leap like? Like, I'm leaving the woods and I'm going to Hollywood.
Yeah, so don't dream it, be it. So, I know I was going to be an actor, right?
Did you go with anyone or were you just solo?
I did. No. I was dating a girl that I knew from the theater, and I said, I'm going to Hollywood. I'm doing it. She said, I'm going with you. And we were living together, like you were with your lady, and we were living. She's older than I am, 5-6 years older. So I was only 19, almost 20, and she was 25, maybe 26. But I said, I'm going to Hollywood. She said, I'm going with you. And I do always say this because the time frame is important. At that time in 1984, you didn't take someone's daughter across the country.
You didn't do that in 1998 either.
Yeah, without marrying them. You know, you I don't know if you got married.
We did not, but we were long-term dating, and I know her dad wasn't happy, but he also didn't put up a fight. He did not believe we were going to leave the driveway.
Yeah, interesting. Well,
And he became one of the, I mean, he was such an important person. He's passed away now, but he was so important. Right at the end there, I couldn't tell him how important he was to me,
oh,
you know.
that's too bad.
Yeah, wonderful dude.
Tell people that now.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Tell
Like,
people that now.
you gotta write those notes and have those
Yeah.
conversations because you never know.
Yeah, it's important to tell people that now, whether you're related to them or they're your friends or they're your teachers.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should know that they had an impact. It's important. Yeah, no. So we got married and we came out. We drove a Chevy Chevette with everything that we wanted to bring, which was a TV and our clothing, because TVs back then were like $450.
Yeah.
So when we came and we lived at Fountain and Wilcox.
I know
very
right
close,
where that is.
very close to you, right around the street from the police department. And that was February. Then I started working at the video store. She got a job right away, and she gave me 3 or 4 months to reconnoiter the situation. And I would go out for plays and whatnot and submit. There was a magazine called Drama Log that you would submit to. And sometime around July, in April, I was an extra on General Hospital, and I didn't know it, but they upgraded me to an under 5.
Ooh, got a little bump.
That's a bump. That's important. Just a little later. I didn't know it though. So, and then I'm doing extra work, and then I did a play. Like I'm busy, and then I submitted for this movie called Primal Urge, and I went to my very first film audition ever. I bumped into. For gosh sakes, Danny, I apologize because it's a little late at night. You guys may not know this, but we've been at this horror show. I bumped into Carl Ballantine. I had to go to his daughter. I knew Sarah Ballantine. What's her? Carl Ballantine, from Hogan's Heroes and the Great Ballantine. And I bump into him in the bank, and I go, Mr. Ballantine, I can't believe I'm seeing you today. I said, I'm going for my first film audition ever.
Against him.
No, he was at the bank.
Okay.
I said, my first film audition ever. Do you have any advice? And he had the unlit cigar, and he goes, yeah, I've got advice. Don't fuck it up. Which is what lawyers say to each other. So I took, the great Carl Ballantyne's advice, and I went into this audition, and I think I did well enough. I got my callback. And Tom, the callback, they had never done a movie before, so they didn't know how to audition people. And the callback was all the actors that they called back in a big sound stage area reading against one another. But it was like a community theater. So you'd watch the other guy read, then you'd go up and read, then you'd watch the other guy read. And I was reading for a tiny little part, a couple days' work of like a kid in high school, like a goofy kid in high school. And all their idea was that the lead would have the glasses on, and he'd be like Clark Kent, and then he'd take the glasses off, and he'd be Superman, and that was the concept of what the studio wanted, right? So I'm watching. I'm gonna do one person, two person, three. These guys, one after another, great looking guys. None of them knew it was a comedy. Now it wasn't a great comedy, but it was a comedy. David Oliver wrote jokes, and it was comedy, and they were all like, I just thought, really bad, respectfully. That's not sound respectfully, but they weren't getting it. And my teachers were Tony Randall and Jack Klugman and Jackie Gleason and Art Carney. And I don't mean they were really my teachers.
No, but that's
I was immersed into the ability to do comedy well. Before I ever came to California, I did it on stage a lot. I did a lot of plays before I came to LA. And so we're all done. And, everybody's picking up their stuff, and they're picking. Okay, everybody, thank you so much. Just David Oliver goes, one last question. Did everybody read what they wanted to read?
You're like, I want to do the lead.
Yeah, I said, and he was like, yeah? Could I read for the lead? Sure. Now everybody has to put all their shit back down. And I get up and read, and David Oliver goes, read the next scene. So they've sent a girl up, and I read the next scene, and I look over here like this. He goes, read the next scene, and I read the next scene. And he goes, okay, thank you. Okay, everybody, thanks so much. Thank you. Get out, get the F out, right? So I go up to him and I say, Mr. Oliver, sir, everybody's gone, and I said, I just want to be in a movie. And, I know there's these cave guys. I'm pretty good with makeup because I had my own makeup kit because, James
Theater.
Cagney,
Yeah.
Aslan Chaney
Yeah.
told me to have one, and I had one in the theater, my tackle box. I said, I could be a caveman. I could help you with the makeup. I said, I just want to be in a movie. He goes, you're going to be in this movie. I just got to figure out how. And I know what happened because I make movies.
Yeah.
I know he realized he was screwed.
Yeah.
Because it's a comedy. The whole thing has got to be funny. It's a teenage sex comedy. And these guys weren't funny. So over the next few weeks, they stay in touch. And then one day, I had made a joke at some point that, my underwear, I don't know, at some point I made some joke about, other people's underwear say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Might say January, February, March. It's like a terrible old joke. Anyway, he calls up and he said, do you have enough underwear? And I said, for what? He said, you're going away to star in a movie. And what he did was I wonder if he'd remember that he even said that. He had to give up his first choice for the girl to get the Mark Tenzer's, the Crown International guys, first choice for the girl. And I became the guy.
That's awesome.
And I came in February. I left for that movie in October. It was going to be 2.5 weeks. I didn't come back till December. When I left, it was Halloween. When I came back, it was Christmas.
Where'd you guys shoot?
Up north of Bakersfield in the mountains.
Okay.
He had land there, and we stayed in a former gay dude ranch, and we all lived in the same house, and the crew was in trailers on the property. I had my own room, which was also my character's room in the movie, and I'd get up at, if our call was 6, I'd get up at 4:30 and take my shower and my, do my morning routine and shave and everything, and I'd put on my costume and I'd lay in my bed like this until someone knocked on my door and said, time to go. And it was just, it was like we were living in a commune making a movie, like everything you ever hear, like they did in, in Popeye, or to some extent Jaws, because they were all on the island of Martha's Vineyard.
It's my favorite type of filmmaking.
Yeah, there's nothing like it.
Yeah.
And it's, over the course of time, since then I've only done that a few times, like Disorganized Crime. We went up to Hamilton, Montana, and we all just lived there for 2.5 months. The Munsters, we went to Budapest, and
And
we all lived in the same building for 3 months.
We just did a little one here in Mount Charleston, up in the woods, completely off grid, all camping, and
You're a better man. See now,
made a Bigfoot movie.
yeah. Oh, I like that.
And
That would not be now. If you said, "Dan, would you be my big?"
I know. I would only ask you to come up for a couple hours.
Yeah, I would just need a toilet and a place to sleep.
We had a toilet, and
right.
and I brought like 5 trailers up there so we could all camp out. It was on a campground, but then the funny thing is I was bringing these trailers up. I can only bring one up a day.
Oh right.
And then the campground called and they're like, "There's nobody in these trailers." I was like, "Not yet. We're coming.
We're coming.
We'll be at the end of the
we'll
week."
be there.
I was like, "I paid for the spots," and they're like, "But you have to be in the spots." I was like, "They're paid for." Like, why?
They were concerned that you were storing a trailer.
Yeah. So I said, no. On Friday, there's gonna be like 20 people up there. But it was, I love that commune filmmaking though, because you kind of get to know each other on a different level,
right?
And you make lifelong friends. You know?
100%. And I do have lifelong friends from that. So I think there's so much more to cover, and I'm sorry, but speaking to the point of your podcast, David Oliver changed my life, and I have told him that, and he's one of a number of people, but David Oliver fought for me, and so Cave Girl's not a great movie, and I'm maybe not great in it, but a guy saw Cave Girl in Tucson, Arizona, and he just happened to work for a management company in California, and they told him he could have like hip pocket clients.
Yeah.
And he was like talking to somebody. He went to do an acting class, and he's talking to the girl's roommate. "What'd you do this week?" I saw this terrible movie, but the guy in it was really kind of sweet and funny. "What movie?" "Cave Girl." The guy goes, "I know that guy. I know him. Randy, it's my friend Randy." He goes, "Who could I have known by then? 20 people, 30 people?"
Yeah.
But Randy was a friend of the guy who ran our apartment building. And so he hooked me and Chuck up, and Chuck brought me to the manager, and Chuck really started promoting me, and then I was getting work, and then the manager, Wayne Rice, was like, "Bring him in here. I want to meet him," because Wayne's clients weren't booking anything. And I met Wayne, and he said, "I'm going to manage you now." Okay, Chucky was fine with that. And then, Wayne calls up one day, and he goes, "I'm going to send you a script that I think you could play this character in, and I think you would be terrific in it." And he sent me River's Edge.
River's Edge, which when I think of your acting career, or at least of me knowing who Daniel Roebuck is, that's the first one that I would have thought that was the first one for the longest time.
Yeah.
And then you told me about Cave Girl since then, I've been able to.
You've really feigned good. Like, wow, oh really? You're good. You're a good side talk show guy, because you acted like you never heard it. But yes, no, I know you did. But yeah, River's Edge. I mean, even if it was my first, it's insanity. Of all the great actors, it's insanity that I'm in it. God bless Tim Hunter, man.
It's an all-star cast, and a dramatic movie.
Very dramatic.
It's,
right. To go from Cave Girl to that.
Yeah.
Would
you think that you night and day. Do you think you were put there as the comic relief kind of, or is that?
Oh, in River's Edge?
Yeah.
No, it was not. No, the movie reads funny now, but
I don't think it reads that funny. It's just that
you see it in a theater filled with people, and Crispin saying, "Didn't you see that?" And Crispin, I just offered him a movie earlier this year. He's terrific. It plays as a dark comedy now. We were not. Maybe Crispin was smart enough to know it was. Keanu and I weren't smart enough to know it was. And Tim Hunter was a very, very good director. Yeah. And Neil Jimenez's script was a very, very good script. I don't want to say it was actor proof, but I got that part. Did I ever tell you?
No.
So me. We're here talking about Dave Allen.
Yeah.
So that was at about the time that I was meeting Dave Allen, because it was after I did No Time for Sergeants. I got cast in it while I was doing this play, and that's when I met Dave Allen. Right. So I'm a nerd. I'm a kid. I'm a child.
This is like 88, 89?
No, 86.
88. Oh, 86. Okay.
End of 85
Okay.
is actually when it was. We shot it in the beginning of 86. So, and I booked, something interesting happened. I booked Project X, not a big part, but a nice part in Project X, a big Matthew Brock's 20th Century Fox movie, and Jonathan Kaplan and Tim Hunter knew each other. So, now all of a sudden, as they're trying to figure out who they're going to hire, I start getting a movie. Thank God, Project X, I was working at the end of the shoot, so there was no conflict. I get the audition. I read the thing. It's beautiful. I'm up to that point. I'm reading for the fat guy and everything. The fat guy. I read this thing. It's beautiful. Can I do this part? It's scary. It's not me. It's not me at all. I mean, it's the guy's devoid of empathy and sympathy, and he's like, turned off. And I greased my hair down because I was too old for it. So I put KY jelly in my hair and greased it down. Theater trick. And I put on some kind of T-shirt, and I seem to remember an army coat. And I don't remember if it said that's what he wore, but that's what I put on. And then I stopped at, right down the street from where we lived, I stopped at the 7-Eleven on Santa Monica, at McCadden in Santa Monica. Look how you remember these things.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
And I bought 2 beers, and I put them in my pocket. And this is first thing in the morning. I'm the first one who goes in. So
Yeah.
it's probably 9:30 or 10. And I go to this place across from Warner Brothers where they were auditioning. And Tim Hunter's in a room, and she goes, Dan Roebuck. I walk in the room, and I walk past the chair to a corner, and I kind of slide down in the corner, and I reach in my pocket, and I pull the beer, and I go ahead. And Tim Hunter's like, what the, picks up the video camera. Now that's picking up a video camera in 1986.
Oh, yeah, it's a
That's like
huge.
picking up a Volkswagen and putting it on your shoulder. And they start doing the scene. And when we're done,
What would you have done if he was like, sir, get up and sit in the chair?
well, I would have done it.
Yeah,
I
but
would have done it.
But he liked the brashness.
Well, he didn't know what he was seeing.
Yeah,
He thought I was him.
yeah,
He didn't know who I was.
that's cool.
Yeah, he didn't know who I was. So he thought this is, nobody had checked on my availability. Oh, I just booked Project X, whatever.
Yeah,
He didn't know who I was. And
I just like that. Yeah, go ahead.
go ahead. See, now, by the way, Tom, anybody who wrote a book on how to get in Hollywood would say, don't come when you're 17. Don't think you're going to break into the business. It would say, all the acting books, no acting book would tell you to do that.
But there's something about confidence and just knowing. I mean, you didn't go through the struggles and trials and tribulations. A lot of young actors that end up getting that waiting job and don't miss the audition because their boss will be mad, and then they don't get that part.
And
You have to know where you're going.
Something else
get
I
it.
didn't get without any acting training. I didn't have anybody tell me that you're not allowed to do that.
Right.
Because that's what they're telling them now.
Yeah.
There's that great line in 6 Degrees of Separation, the play where the guy who's an art dealer, and he says he goes to his kid's kindergarten class, and every single drawing on the blackboard is every single colored thing is a work of art. Everything is beautiful. And he said to the teacher, he said, my God, how do you have all these students? How are they all artists? She says, they're not all artists. She said, I just know when to take the paper away from them.
Yeah.
Such a great thing. So you don't know what you don't know, right? So I could tell you, an acting teacher, if I would have said, I was thinking of going in here with beer in my pocket.
They'd say, absolutely don't do that.
No.
Don't upset them.
You don't know. No.
Yeah.
Don't ask questions. Don't do anything. Well, I've been writing a book for actors called The Audition is the Job, and Other Truths that I've learned in the land of make-believe. It's not a joke. If you audition well, you get cast.
Yeah.
If you can't audition well, you don't. And auditioning, you have to do it the opposite of what they've told you, which is what they tell you. All the books say, don't ask questions. Don't improvise. Hold the page in your hand. I had no sides in my hand.
Yeah.
I did this. I don't think I did. I never really do. So Nobody told me how to do that, but I knew to do it, and
Yeah.
it got me the part. And it got me dues.
And
I did the same
that's
thing.
listening to your gut.
Well, it's listening to something else. Whether you like me saying it or not, God is good to me.
Yeah.
It's listening to God. He talks to all of us all the time. He tells us what's coming. He tells us what's coming. When I was in the circus, I was a vampire clown named the Count.
Of course. I
I was a funny vampire named the Count. And this is 45 years later.
Yeah.
This isn't because there's no God. This is because God loves you.
Yeah.
And he loved me. So why do I know these things? Because I trust my soul. And the other thing, you really want to don't dream it, be it. You really want that. You got to get off the tit of the white noise.
It's
and
true.
I'm telling you, the white noise is everything that you know it is, and you don't want to admit it. It's that goddamn social media is white noise. You're on there talking about politics and talking about stuff that doesn't matter in the long run. And I talked to a guy. I go, how many hours you spend on social media a week? He goes, we checked, 35. How many hours do you spend on your acting career a week?
go to an audition.
You know what? He doesn't even go to an because God bless this guy and others like him. You know, they're addicted to something,
Yeah.
So it's social media, it's pornography, it's getting high. Getting high is the new way of the world, baby.
Is it new?
Well, people are doing it with impunity because trust me, your government wants you stupid and not asking questions.
I agree.
And you're falling right into their hands. Because if you're smoking your bowl all day, you're not thinking. Now, Jeffrey Epstein had an island where all these people were having sex with underage girls, and he died in a prison when he was being watched by a prison guard, yet we never saw his body. We never saw an autopsy report. They never put out the name of the guard whose job it was to watch him to make sure he didn't die. They never put out his name. We never learned if he was fired. We never learned if the warden of the prison was fired. We never learned any of that stuff. Why? Because, we're just busy on our social media and smoking our doob, and it doesn't matter, but it really should matter because, you don't have to be a conspiracy theorist. They never proved that the guy was dead.
Yeah.
But he's not.
Not in jail.
He's not answering for any problem. So keep smoking your pot and doing your internet porn and I'm an adult. I'm not saying I'm not perfect, but
Right.
I didn't let stuff take me away from
didn't let
God's plan for me.
You did not let anything get in the way between you and the end goal. But also you saw those opportunities and you knew to take them. So many people have a fear of success. So many people shoot themselves in the foot right when the big moment is about to happen.
I think so. Listen, the guy said, does anybody else want to read anything else? I was the only one who raised my hand. And by the way, you know what the book would have told you? Don't.
Yeah, stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane. Don't. And staying in your lane is important when you're making a movie. If I'm directing a movie, I don't want the sound man telling the actor to be louder or
Correct.
softer during the death scene. I hear that in the comms. I'm like, can I speak to you, please? Don't ever speak to the actor and tell them that you put the stupid mic closer to their mouth.
Yeah.
If you having a problem hearing them.
Yeah.
But don't tell them to be louder while they're dying.
Yeah. Or if, like as an effects artist, if I feel like somebody is not pulling off what I need them to, I will step over to the director and say, hey, can you have him kind of turn towards camera so we could see what's going on?
So we could see. Remember,
Remember, I put a
face that
prosthetic.
light?
I put a prosthetic there that's
Yeah.
in the shadow.
Yeah.
But I will always go through the director. I would never just tell the actor.
Well, of course you will.
But and as a director, I mean, I work with a tight group of people, but they still know. Let's not make our own decisions. Let's funnel it through the
through the boss.
Yeah.
But it is. Look, my father. I don't think he thought I was coming back in 3 months. But my father, he didn't look. Your job is you're a parent. You need to protect your children. Sometimes your children need to ignore you. Not before they're 18. They should respect you.
Yeah.
And regard your experience. and as long as you're not putting them in jeopardy, you should always be the one who has the last say in the matter. I don't understand. Some girl, she's 14, 15 years old. She has a tattoo. I said to her, Dad, how come she has a tattoo? What are you gonna do? I'll tell you what
You're
you're
gonna tell
do.
her no.
You're gonna say you're not getting a tattoo. What are you, insane?
Yeah.
You don't know anything. You're 14,
And
you don't know if you like that band when you're 20.
I am covered in tattoos. That's true, but my wife has none, which is awesome.
Right.
Because my kids clearly like her more, so hopefully they replicate her. No, that's not true. But the thing is
It's true.
Yeah, it probably is. Any kid shouldn't be making that decision until they're an adult. That's a pretty heavy decision.
And as a parent, but just by the way, some kids are adults when they're 15,
Yeah.
but not legally. And some kids aren't adults when they're 22.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, let's go through this again. One point after my divorce, my son says to me, hey, I was just thinking, if you give your car to Mom, and then she can give her car to me, and then she could drive your car, and then I could have her car. I said, Buster, if you're mentally handicapped, the government will pay me money. So what we're going to do is we're going to call someone in the government, and I'm going to have you tell them this exact same thing you told, because I think they owe me like $50,000-$60,000. Tell them what your theory is on, like, this is when he was an adult. No, I'm not giving. Do you understand that I don't have a car?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah. He went through this again and again. Convinced himself this. I love my son. He's a good kid.
Well, he could work and get himself a car.
Yeah. No, well, which he's done.
Good. So from River's Edge and that success that you found, did it bring success, or did you end up? I mean, that was theatrical release.
Oh no, it was on everybody's 10 best film of the year.
And
list.
then what kind of trajectory did that have?
River's Edge led to Dudes. Not, it wasn't big, but now I'm booking movies. So River's Edge actually got me into ICM, which was you're an actor and you get these agent manuals that tell you how to submit. It would say at ICM, International Creative Management, it'd say, do not submit. They will contact you. So one day I get a call from ICM. They want to represent me, and this is a big deal. And so I'm moved up the line, and I'm in all the rooms of, Less Than Zero and Flatliners and all these things. We're all working and auditioning and seeing each other, right? Funny story, I get a call one night after Dudes, but not after Disorganized Crime. It was after Dudes because I was still living in the Hollywood apartment. And I got a call from Sally Pearl Casting, which was an extra service that I signed up for, where I met Bob Ivy, who became my stunt double and played Bubba Hotep.
Wow.
Yeah. So Bob Ivy's, he's the bomb diggity. So,
I love Bubba Hotep.
Yeah. So Sally Pearl Casting, we both were part of that. So one night I get this call. Hello, Dan. The phone, like when you didn't have a cell phone, the phone in your house rang,
it's ringing.
and you couldn't turn it off.
Yeah.
So it rings. Hello. It's 2:30 in the morning. Hello. Is it hello? Yeah, Daniel Roebuck. Yeah. We need you for. Are you available tomorrow? Tomorrow? Yeah. What do you need? Sally Pearl Casting. We need you to come down to, bring a suit and come to this office. We need you for an extra call, last minute extra call. I was like, I don't
do extra work.
Yeah, no. I said, no. That's the easy answer. I was like, no. I don't think I should do that. I don't think I should. What do you mean you should? Do you don't think? I said, well, I don't. I mean, she goes, are you available tomorrow or aren't you? Well, yeah. I mean, I don't have anything to do tomorrow. Well, if you don't come to this extra call, we'll take you off the list. We'll never call you again. And I said, I think that's okay, because I'm kind of starring in movies now. And the girl goes, oh, you're starring in movies, are you? Click. And my wife goes, why didn't you just tell her to fuck off? And I was like, it's funny. That's how fast it happens. Yeah. I'm an extra at the end of the year before, and I'm starring in movies. By the next point, I've starred in 3 movies.
Yeah.
Starred, one of the first 3-4 names on the poster. So it's funny how that happens. And then working and doing and staying really busy, and then did TV. Went over to the Matlock, and then I if all the years, and it's 41 now. There was one point in time for about 4 or 5 months when I did have some concerns, and then like I was selling stuff at the toy shows, just
Yeah.
try to just
Make some extra.
make a little extra, and my manager Wayne Rice calls me up, and I had been on that Matlock a number of times. They tried to make me a regular at one point, but Fred Silverman didn't want me on the show. He's just chubby. I don't know what the hell his problem was. But he became a friend later on, so I could have asked him, but I never did. When they told me they weren't picking up my deal, Andy Griffith, he goes, we're at Universal, we're getting ready to shoot a scene. And he goes, Danny, that's an awfully big backlot out there. We could kill old Fred Silverman. They'd never find him. He was very mad that he didn't get me on the show, because he told the director the day after my first guest star, he said I want him as a series regular.
I had a very close friend in high school that was supposed to move out to L.A. with me and do this, be us together. We were big fans of the movie Summer School, so we called ourselves Chainsaw and Dave.
Yeah.
And he was the Chainsaw for some reason, and I was Dave. I should have been Chainsaw.
Yeah.
Anyway, his favorite show through high school was Matlock.
Oh.
He loved like this big. My dad called him Edward Scissorhands. He just looked like this goth kid, tall, like 6 foot in high school, had the mustache,
But he loved Matlock.
But he loved Matlock. We couldn't do something if Matlock was on, because there was no Tubi or whatever to record it. You had to watch it on.
You see it once.
But he loved Matlock, and I love Matlock. I love Murder, She Wrote, and Matlock and all that. But
I mean, look, Matlock is now, I've survived in show business long enough that my show is being referenced on a new show with the same name. But back to this long and arduous story that's bored all of your listeners.
No.
So, around that time that I'm selling toys at toy shows and whatnot, I get a call from Wayne Rice, still my manager then. Wayne says, hey, sit down. I'm like, oh, okay. He goes, no, in fact, Dan, I'm not kidding. Lay down. What? He goes, I just lay down on the floor. I wanted to
I'm just imagining you at the Shrine Auditorium selling toys.
No,
it
wasn't the
floor.
same day. No, we were at the Pomona Fairgrounds. This was in my office in the house in Mission Hills. So, but I did. I laid down in the middle of the floor. And he goes, Dan, you're a new series regular on Matlock.
Oh.
And I said, no, we're shooting the final. I was brought in, given a couple days shooting the final episode where they put all the alumni that they liked in as different characters. I said, I'm shooting the last episode, dude. What are you talking about? He goes, no, you're shooting the last NBC episode. You're going to star in the first ABC episode.
Oh.
And that's how, like that.
That's awesome.
And then that was 3 years with Andy Griffith.
Do you think Andy Griffith had any pull in that?
Yes.
That's awesome.
100%.
That is so awesome.
What Andy did was he would see. So when I met him, the day I met him, I only had one scene with him. But I had just done No Time for Sergeants. And I met him, and I was like, I couldn't even talk. And I finally croaked out, I just did No Time for Sergeants. And he said, you did No Time for Sergeants. Who'd you play? And I said, Will Stockdale. He played Will Stockdale. He goes, I was in New Time for Sergeants. I did the TV version, then the Broadway version, then the play version. Very hard part to play. He played the part that I played. He's telling the whole crew. Oh, interesting. So and then we did a scene together. And then the next day, the director, Tony Mordante, who was action in West Side Story, he goes, I don't know what you did. There was a scene where I had to put my hand toward his crotch. He goes, I don't know what you did when you put your hand down the old man's pants, but he wants you to be a series regular. So what Andy did is, like, he saw Jim Neighbors' nightclub routine. He went backstage. He said, I'm going to put you in the show. Same thing with George Lindsay. He saw him perform. He said, I'm going to put you in the show. Jack Dotson, who played Howard Sprague. Andy said, I said, how did you find Jack Dotson? Andy, who's such an odd character. He goes, I want to tell you something. I went to see a play called Huey. starring my friend Jason Robards, who I knew from Broadway. And they were doing it in L.A., and Robards brought it to L.A. And Robards, it's literally a monologue of Robards talking about this night he's had. But he's telling a guy who's in, they're at a hotel. He's the hotel clerk. And the hotel clerk says, like, how you doing, Huey? Or he has like 4 lines. The whole rest of the play, he's watching the guy talk. He said, Danny, I couldn't take my eyes off him. I've never seen an actor with that concentration. He went backstage and he said, I'm going to write you a part of my show. So I was just another in a series of
favored.
that.
Yeah, you were favored by...
Where he saw in me somebody, because what he wanted in Matlock was comedy.
Yeah.
And they didn't have it. So that's what I was there for.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Great. Now,
and you said 55 episodes, you think?
55, I think 55.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I played 4 characters on Matlock. I would have had the record, except there's a guy named Richard Olson who played 5 down in North Carolina. He was on twice a season, and once a season the last season. The guy we used him all the time. He was a very good actor.
And as far as when did Matlock end?
90. Matlock ended in 94, 92, 93, 94, 94. I think that's right. In 90, but then, miracles happen. One time, the first season of Matlock, I split between Clarence Gilliard and me. So the first season, I did 10 or 11 of the 22. And one of the times I was home, I auditioned for The Fugitive. And why? Because I was home that week.
Devlin McGregor, like your teacher. Yeah.
And
my son now has that same teacher, and he is thrilled to tell the whole class all the time. He's like, Cooper's dad knows everyone. I said, you start calling my kid Alice Cooper, I'll get you another autograph.
Yeah, we'll get him that. We can pull that off.
Yeah.
So, like right place, right time again, In the week I had off, I remember Bryn Thayer, she said, what are you doing after
Man,
hiatus?
I remember seeing The Fugitive in theaters, and I loved it.
It's
I
a
loved it.
great
I mean, I was
movie.
such a Harrison Ford fan at that time, and I was just into cinema to the point where I knew it was going to be like a career. So I was watching shots and stuff and action and rain, and I love The Fugitive.
It's such a great movie. Oh, it's such a great movie. So Fugitive was between year 1 and year 2 of Matlock. Between year 2 and year 3, I think I did a TV movie. And then right after Matlock, I did some independent movies, and then I got The Late Shift. And then The Late Shift I've had this luck, Tom, that every 7, 8, 9, 10 years, whatever, somewhere in there, I end up in the thing everybody's talking about.
Yeah.
And, we could say it was River's Edge to The Fugitive to The Late Shift to Lost.
Definitely Lost.
To, so every few years, there was something that every single person, after Lost a few years, it was Man in the High Castle, which was enormously popular. And now it's Terrifier.
Well,
you know what I'm
skipped
saying?
over the Munsters.
Well, the Munsters was talked about, but Terrifier's making records.
Terrifier is making records, and before we get to Terrifier, I do want to talk about the Munsters.
No, please, I love it.
Because here's the thing: this Rocky Horror, Man of a Thousand Faces, Monster Kid. Your career didn't go just in the way of monsters. You weren't just straight and immediately a low budget horror guy. You know what I mean? And essentially never a low budget horror guy. But somehow you landed in the favor of Rob Zombie, who does use cast members in several films, but also writes people out of his life pretty regularly. Like, I've crossed paths with a lot of actors that are like, I don't know why he's not using me anymore. Or there's somebody like an art department guy I know who's really a jerk, and I can understand why he wouldn't use him. But he's like, I don't know, he just cut me out of his life. And it's so funny. And even my good friend Kane Hodder has no clue why Rob doesn't use him as a stunt coordinator anymore. And
but he did?
He did on Devil's Rejects. He was the stunt coordinator.
Oh.
But and he loves Rob, and they had a great relationship, but it just never happened again.
Well, I think you say that and you're saying it with veracity, so you have knowledge. I don't.
But there's no. I'm not saying anything negative towards Rob
I know,
Zombie.
but
Yeah.
when you say someone cuts people out of their lives, there's a few.
Well,
people,
I think he just moves on and tightens his clique.
he may. I have people who hate me. I don't know why. No.
I honestly,
two people
full-heartedly cannot imagine somebody.
Two people I loved, and I thought, I don't know if I said the wrong thing, I did the wrong thing. I was a different person, maybe once judging me from the past version of me and not the current version of me. We're always upgrading.
Hindsight is 2020.
Yeah, whatever. But there are people. It's kind of you to say, what I find with a creative endeavor is, I've never been. For instance, the other day, Rob said, I'm working on a new thing. And you know what I didn't say? Is there something in it for me?
Put me in it.
Yeah, put me in it.
Yeah.
It's not my business to tell him what to do.
If the part's there, he'll offer it.
He'll give it to me. He'll want me to do it.
And how did you meet him? How did it all come apart?
Because we collect monster toys. It's so silly. We were at Remember Kitcraft?
Yeah, Kitcraft. Of course.
That's where we'd go to buy these garage kits before you could buy
it's also the only place you could get Cyanoaculate for a long time.
Right. So Kitcraft was it was like a hobby store, but there were these Horizon models of Boris Karloff's Frankenstein and Bela Lugosi's Dracula.
I always had the Screamin' vinyl model.
Screamin'
kits.
vinyls,
that's what I would get at Kitcraft.
That's your face.
Yeah.
I said a Horizon, I meant Billiken. Horizon came after.
Yeah.
But these things weren't available, so you could only go to Kitcraft.
Yeah.
So one day we're in Kitcraft, and I'm with my friend John Gilbert, the Arizona Gill man, and Rob Zombie walks in and goes, oh, and Gilbert's like, do. Rob Zombie comes in, and he's like a kid. He goes, well, Mr. Zombie, what a pleasure to meet you, because John's a musician, too. And I go, what did you call that guy? He goes, it's Rob Zombie. And I'm like, hi, how are you? Yeah, we talk, and, we speak for a few minutes. Gilbert actually beat him out of Johnny Gilbert, sculpted a garage kit of Uncle Gilbert. And we're talking about the Munsters, and Gilbert beat him out of $60, like he pulls it, and John goes to the car and sells him a garage, because we were there, I guess, trying to get Kitcraft to get John's models. So he beats Rob out of Uncle Gilbert. Now that's going to come back.
That does come back.
I want you to circle that in your brain.
That's bookmarked, yeah.
Okay. So then Kevin Burns invites me to a screening of Elvira's Hidden Hills or whatever.
No, the 200 Hills on Sunset Boulevard. And she pulled up in the car.
Well, I was inside, and I don't.
This is in 2001.
When did he make
Elvira's Haunted Hills?
No,
and Richard O'Brien was there.
I don't even. It wasn't a screening. It was like a smaller screening room.
Okay, I went to a premiere in I understand.
Now you get it. And so
I still have a button from that night. I should put it on this shelf.
You should put it on the shelf and have it there next to the Pazuzu's Pizzazu. Anyway, Rob's there, and it's like a screening room, so there's a little kitchen. And I go, hey, I wanted to just come over and say hi. And he goes, yeah, Sherry was just telling me I should say hi to you. And we started, just talking and exchanged numbers.
Did he remember you from Kitcraft?
No, he didn't, but he knew who I was. You
Yeah.
know. I don't know if he remembered me from Kitcraft, but he knew who I was. And we had a lovely conversation. And then, I mean, weirdly, shortly thereafter, I pitched him an idea for a movie. And he was like, yeah, if you write it, I'm definitely interested. And that was to make a movie about Al Adamson and Sam Sherman that Dwayne Whitaker and myself and Sam Borowski wrote.
That's awesome.
Called Murder a Go-Go. And it never came to fruition, but, it got us talking. And then he asked, "Do you want to be in Devil's Rejects? It's a sequel to this." I was like, "Sure." And then he met Dwayne one day when we were talking about the movie, and then after that he goes, "You think Dwayne would want to be in that with you?" I said, "Yes, I'm sure he would." So that's how we ended up
That's awesome.
in the universe. But I don't, I make no demands of Rob Zombie because
Right.
because I think he's a bit of a visionary. I One time I did have my joke on him. They strapped me to the. I'd been in makeup Wayne Toth, and I think Bart Mixon had put me in this makeup in 31, and I was in the makeup chair for hours and hours and hours because there were so many cuts, and we like each other, and we're talking, and then they bring me to the set, and I'm covered in blood, and they tie me to a chair, and they really tie me to the chair, and I know Richard Brake from a TV series, but
Yeah.
I haven't talked to him lately. And he's over there like going over his lines, looking like a crazy clown.
He looks crazy.
And they tie me to the chair, and then Rob goes, "Okay, start the water." And I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 what water?" And like I think the first goes, "We're dripping," or maybe the first said, "Start the water," and Rob said, "We're dripping water on you." And so I'm there, I'm tied to the chair. The water starts hitting and it's bringing the blood into my eyes.
Chinese water torture.
Terrible. They're talking about waterboarding people. This is terrible. And and he goes, "Okay, everybody ready?" I said, "Can I just say one thing?" "What?" I go, "Other people, I'm the star of their movie, the star. I'm like number 1 or number 2. But I come over here and you kill me in 5 minutes." "All right, I'm ready." So, after he gave me the Munsters, he did mention it, but he goes, "You're not allowed to complain about little parts anymore." I was like, "I complained once." One time I complained. But the other thing is, I'm in other movies like Lords of Salem.
Yeah.
He cut me out of that, and he almost cut me out of Halloween, but I'm there for like 2 seconds. So I can sign those posters. And that's the thing you do. Like, you've got friends, and you're like, "Hey, hi. Tom, by the way, I had to cut you out of that movie." And because your friend's like, "Okay,
Yeah.
I'll be." But if you have to tell some other person, we shot, just by the way, we reshot My Kill in Halloween 2. So Sylvia and Jeff and I went back and reshot all these scenes. No, Jeff wasn't there when we did that. He was there the first time, but he wasn't at the reshoots of the kill because they didn't change his kill. But Sylvia, my kill, they changed, and there was a guy that completely cut out, and then we go to the premiere, dude.
Oh, I
And
heard this story.
Oh, did I tell you?
Well, Dwayne did.
He's walking right behind me
Yeah.
with an entourage. I'm like, and I know that he's not in it because we reshot it. And I was like, could I talk to you for a second? Just you alone, please. And I had to tell the poor guy, "Go, you're not in the movie. You should know this." He goes, "Well, what do you mean, not even a little?" I go,
From what I understand, that's karma.
"You're not." Yeah, that's so is. I don't know about. I would never speak to that.
I got to visit set for Devil's Rejects.
You did?
Yeah, I was working on an Andrew Getty project called The Evil Within with Michael Berryman. And so he brought me out on set for the chicken fucker scene.
Oh, okay, you were there for that.
And I had this moment on set. It was one of my favorite moments of my life. I get out of the car. I actually drove up with Andrew Getty in Magnum PI's Ferrari. And so it was like, and so it was just so funny. I just think of that like Spaceballs. But I got to stand behind the camera with Rob and talk to him about. He was telling me why he's shooting on 16 millimeter. He acted like he knew me. We didn't know each other. We've crossed paths several times in life. We're in a documentary together where it's just me, my wife, and him.
Oh.
But I don't know that he would know my name. I don't know. But that day was so magical because I wasn't there as a fanboy and I wasn't there working. I was a colleague of sorts. It was like I felt like part of the gang, you know, and they treated me as such. And it was amazing. It was an amazing moment. I have great pictures of Ken and Michael and Rob, and we're out at Sable Ranch.
Yeah, yeah.
It was amazing. And after they wrapped, I should say.
What did you take?
I took the whole set. So I made a movie called Ed Gein, the Butcher of Plainsfield out at Sable right after that. We used the house.
Oh.
And on the last day, they were taking a bunch of the set down and stacking all the plywood. And I came back and opened the gate. It's dummy locked, always dummy locked with just the chain. And I opened it up. My truck went in, piled all that wood on. A guy goes, "What are you doing?" I go, "Oh, I'm just taking this stuff out of here." They're like, "Okay." And I took the whole set. It was crazy, but whatever. Yeah. I've done a lot of movies out on Sable Ranch, but the Devil's Reject experience, for anybody who was ever gonna say something negative about Rob Zombie, I could tell you that he was. I mean, it was one day of my life, but it was magical. It was like, it was amazing.
Rob, listen, I don't.
And I love his movies. I know people rip his movies apart.
I don't know why. As far as I'm concerned, Halloween 2. I'll be honest with you. We just did this Halloween coloring book, and I love Halloween as much as anybody. But really, it's the movie about 3 of the worst babysitters and perhaps the stupidest psychiatrist. No, we don't want to tell anybody. They'll be jumping at shadows. Oh, fine. Then what is our kill total? 13? That was a lot better. Instead of just telling people that a maniac was loose.
Yeah. So I think the 3 babysitter girls, Scout, Danielle, and Christine, killed it in the remake.
And I think the remake is great, and I think part 2 is a veritable opera of a horror movie.
One of my favorite things about part 2 is you rarely see a sequel with survivor girls that are scarred and damaged.
Yes.
Like sometimes they're like, "Oh my God, there was trauma," but like Danielle is scarred, and I love they dress up like Rocky Horror.
Yeah,
I thought that was great. I love everything about. There's the only Rob Zombie movie that I'm not the hugest fan of, and I haven't given it that close of a chance, is Lords of Salem. It just wasn't my style.
Yeah, but I would rewatch it. Just rewatch it. I should. Yeah, we should. For movies you hate, by the way, everybody should watch them again 5 or 10 years later.
I absolutely don't hate it. I just don't.
Wasn't your style.
Like, I love 31, and I get a lot of flack for that sometimes, but that's because
everyone out there loves 31.
I love Halloween. I love the fact that he justifies for the first time in a film chainsaw clowns.
Right.
Like, I love 31, and I really love I love the Munsters, and it's the movie I've been waiting for. I'm a Munsters fan through and through. My daughter's name is Lily. My company 1313 Effects. I love the Munsters, and I have since a childhood. But one of my favorite Munsterologies that I have is that I was in your presence when you had that role, and you didn't tell me.
I couldn't tell you.
And I thought that was so phenomenal, because...
And then Sean Whalen
told
because I knew that was right when I met you, and I didn't.
Yeah.
I couldn't. It's not that's just not really. That wouldn't have been proper to Rob.
I think it was our second encounter. You had come by the first time. You had just done the voiceover for the Star Wars stuff. And that's when I first met you, and you walked through the museum. We took some pictures, and I thought that was cool. And then you called me and said, "I'm coming back in 3 months or something."
Oh, we love it. And, I should say, people should know this. We were just at this show, and I was giving everybody. I said, "Give me something to give out." I love coming here.
Yeah,
I'm very comfortable here. I feel like I just feel like I don't feel like it's my museum, but I feel like. I'm very proud of you for what you've done.
And I appreciate the heck out of that, because you are a monster guy. You are a model collector, a historian. You know the difference between Basil Rathbone and
Basil Gogos.
Basil Gogos. Yeah.
By the way, we were talking earlier about meeting there was a point in time where between Forey and Basil Gogos and Vern Langton, and everybody was old and mad and crabby, and
Did you
Jim
ever?
Warren was the only one who ever made sense to me.
Did you ever think Basil Gogos was cranky? I never met a cranky Basil.
Basil Gogos. Well, I'm Basil. This is my. If you knew him, this is a very good impression, Basil Gogos. Basil, I did that interview. People can get it on my new DVD, which is called "The Horrible World of Daniel Roebuck." They could get them at Monster General Store, or I don't. Did I give you any? I should bring you.
I don't
some,
have
so
them
yeah.
yet, but I will sell them.
All right, yeah. So we did these Monsteramas for Kevin Burns and Monster Channel, and Kevin's passed away. Monster Channel's gone. I had the Masters. I was like, well, just put them on DVD.
Just put them out. Yeah, why not?
Let people see them. But I interviewed Basil, and I was like, Basil, when we were kids, we thought Basil Gogos, he's painting in a castle, and, he's, there's lightning's hitting, and he's painting, and the crashing of the waves, like, he goes, I have no idea why he would say anything like that. Paint my studio.
I love what he would do with the three lights.
The three colored lights.
On the
That's
black and white prints.
Colored three colored lights.
I love. He's my favorite artist of all time.
Of course.
And I have a print signed to me from when his book release happened, and then later I got 3 more, one signed to my wife and to each of my kids, and it was so sad because by that last one, when Cooper was born, he couldn't barely even write his name, and it was so sad. And we were at Bangor Horror Fest, and he passed away right after there.
Oh.
But it was cool to meet him several times, and just such an incredible artist.
We were going to interview him in his studio. He said, you can't come to my studio. And I think because it's probably
A mess. Yeah.
So we turned my buddy's apartment, Rick D's New York apartment, into Basil's studio. And, we interviewed him. And this is, I had this idea because we had Zachary the same day. And I had Basil.
That's awesome.
And then Zachary came in, and we shot them all. We were doing this great. I was like, we'll go to Jekyll and Hyde's for dinner, and I'll be there with Zachary. And Basil goes, Dan, Linda's not going to like that. What? He goes, Linda's not going to like that. And the first thing I think is, I didn't invite Linda. He goes, Linda, she doesn't like a joint. She doesn't like that. She'd like something nicer. So I call Rick D. Where can I take these people? We go to a place, I'm like, I work for a company and I'm on a budget, and I take them out to dinner. I'm like, I wonder if they'll even consider this an actual expense.
Yeah.
And Linda, who's passed away too, she was his fellow artist and his partner, and she loved him, of course. And we go, and she's like, I'll have a martini. And it's like, like,
you're like,
by
how
the way,
much?
I'm starring on a TV show at the same time I'm making these, but I know that I'm going to have to expend, and someone's going to yell at me, and she's like, I'll have a martini. And I was like, and then the other assistant goes, oh, I'll have a martini. And then the buddy helping me goes, oh, I'll have a martini. I was like,
you'll have a water.
you're not having a martini. Anyway, Basil goes. But Basil, what was funny? It's just, this is conversations you can have. He goes, well, before I acted in there, Jim Warren, they ripped me off. He said, how did they rip you off? He goes, they only paid me. These things are worth thousands, tens of thousands of dollars, and they didn't pay me anything. Now, he didn't remember that, an hour earlier in the interview. I said, now, what did you get paid to do these paintings? He goes, I got about $250 or $300 per painting. And I said, how long would it take you to paint it? And he said, I would, if I spent more than 3 hours, it would be too much. Now, this is 1960, and
That's
I know
a lot of money.
I know what my father made in 1960. He made $26 a week, and he dug ditches from 7 a.m. in the morning until 5 p.m. at night. He dug ditches in the cold, in the heat. He dug ditches. He did $25 a week. But Basil in his brain didn't realize that he was a millionaire in 19. $300 a painting, and he said if I took too long, I'd be losing money.
Yeah.
Because he'd be painting for somebody else.
Yeah.
God.
Well, his artwork was incredible.
Well, hey, by the way, Dan Horn, That's one of my favorites. Fred Cooper. There's a lot of great artists out now.
Yeah. I have actually, you brought up Primevals earlier. My friend Jeff Farley worked on Primevals, but he paints in the style of Basil and does incredible jobs. He did a painting for me of Teddy from my first movie, Teddy.
They do 3-color lights.
3-color lights.
You gotta say like 3-color lights.
But yeah, no, there's a lot of I love that style of art, and I love every
illustrative art is there's nothing like it. I had at one point issue what did I have? Now 114 or 117, the Werewolf of London, the Orange Werewolf of London.
Yeah.
I had that in my collection, and I sold it to Rob at one point. And then I had I brokered a deal, and my broker fee was he had to paint a painting for me. So I had him do that orange, like that very autumn-looking hunchback from Man of 1,000 Faces. And I was bummed, like I got Rob Zombie. I asked him if he would do the forward for the book. He did. He's lovely about it. Like I got that, and I loaned him the painting, and I gave him all this stuff. And, I said, like you have to credit the painting as mine. And then at the end, they didn't do it. And when I said, we had a deal, and somebody goes, well, they just decided they didn't want to credit anybody. And it was like,
that's
understand.
That's not my deal.
Yeah, we didn't have. Anyway, there's something about that always. I have a great full scan of the Jack Davis Frankenstein.
Oh, cool.
That I took a real one and had it scanned at full resolution. So I have a huge file of the actual drawing. And they wanted to use it for a book, and I said, I'm going to send you that file, and you're going to be making copies of it.
Yeah.
And you're not going to do, that's not right to Jack.
Yeah.
So I didn't give it to him.
Yeah.
Anyway, blah, blah, blah. That makes me sound like I'm a jerk.
No, not at all. It just makes you sound like you're preserving the artist's legacy.
Jack Davis was very kind to me. He did a lot of original art for me.
That's awesome.
And I would not have done anything that would be disrespectful to him.
Let's jump back to the Munsters.
Yeah.
So
let's talk about it, because I like talking about
it. So this opportunity comes up to you through, you've worked with Rob many times, and he clearly knows what you love.
Yes.
And I mean, was there other people that it went out to?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
It was written with you in mind.
Oh, yeah. Well, it wasn't written with me in mind. He wrote it years earlier. So he rewrote it with me in mind, I would say. But he didn't write it with me in mind, because he wouldn't have known me. But, yeah, and we're driving to my friend Steve Christopher's wedding. I rented a car in Chicago. We're driving to the wedding, and Tammy's sitting next to me wearing a Lily Munster shirt. And, you have your phone plugged in. It says, Rob Zombie comes up, and we look at each other. Hello. And he says, hey, I told you I wanted to talk to you about this movie. So we're doing the movie, and it's called The Munsters. And I'm like, uh-huh. And he said, and I was wondering if you would consider playing Grandpa. Now, Tammy looked over at me like, what? Like, what? So,
Now you have your own action figure.
yeah, if they would
As a toy collector, what does it mean to have an action figure like this?
If they would have said, you want an Oscar or this, I would have said, I want this. I really would have. That's how stupid I am. I think, well, I don't know that the Oscars mean anything anymore, actually. But this...
I mean, that means something.
I'm a universal monster. I'm what I collected.
Yeah.
My life has come completely true. Rob said it clearly. He said, you're never allowed to complain about a part again. The truth is, I'm not allowed to complain about anything again.
Yeah.
I can't complain. I can't make commentary on my career. I can't. I've been given anything anybody could have ever wanted. I've worked with the greatest actor. I spent 3 years with an icon, not just an actor. Andy Griffith is an American icon. And he would give me the script in the morning and say, Danny, do something with this. And I'd have to come back with a little gag or something that we could sneak in there. That's Andy Griffith.
Yeah.
You know, I'm working with a director I love and appreciate, and I'm playing a character. And I knew the guy who played him, and I knew the guy who played, you know, Herman Munster. And like, I collected these toys since I was a child.
I am a huge, like I said, I'm a huge Munsters fan, and I met you before knowing any of this would happen.
Right.
But part of my life of believing that I'm doing the right thing and in the right place all the time is the fact that, of course, you're Grandpa Munster and my friend, and you come to my house or hang out at my museum and
swim in your pool.
Yeah, and my friend, my good friend, almost family member, Butch Patrick, he comes and stays in my backyard bungalow, and like my life, all the posters on my wall as a kid are my peers and friends and family today, and it's nothing short of a miracle. It's I can never complain about. I will never complain about life because
but
I've had the perfect run. And I'm still going.
And you're still going. And you have something that I have too, which is a wonderful wife and 2 great kids.
Yeah.
Right? On top of all that. And it's not as easy as you think. And by the way, it's not a joke. The children of actors kill themselves all the time. Like, there's a lot of actors who have a dead child.
I never realized that or heard that.
Yeah, Carol O'Connor. Andy Griffith.
Do you think that's because they feel ignored, or they feel like their parents are pretending to be other people's?
Well, I don't know. I just think it's people don't have time. I always took time to be the father.
Yeah.
I never.
That's really my goal in life. Is family's first with me always.
Always. Yes.
And I would rather be riding a dirt bike with my daughter than making an appointment somewhere. I mean, there's rules in my life, but I do believe there's more than 24 hours in a day, and I can fit everything.
Right, you can fit everything. But so the other thing that I think is important at this point in this conversation is to remind people that you and I are maybe not ordinary, and don't take this the wrong way, we're not extraordinary.
Correct.
We're blessed. So anybody could be blessed. And everybody is blessed. Everybody's created.
They have to believe it and see it.
Well, you've got to see it, and you've got to cut the noise. But like, take it from us, folks. We're two lucky guys, and we don't claim to be. I read about Elon Musk and I watch his thinking, or someone like Jordan Peterson. These guys can think in ways that you can't even. Our brains can't even put together. But Jordan Peterson couldn't play Samson in River's Edge, and Elon Musk, couldn't make Gingerbread Man 2, and that's a fact. You put Gingerbread Man 1 in front of Elon Musk and said, "You've got to recreate this puppet exactly." He'd be like, "I'm gonna have to hire. Why don't we hire the guy who made this one?"
Yeah.
Which is what he would do.
Yeah.
Let's get this guy. Why do I have to do it?
Right.
So, I mean, I'm not insulting my friend Tom. I'm just saying.
No, I totally agree too. I say it all the time, especially around, I don't know if it's a generational thing or a regional thing, but I have a really hard time finding help making dreams happen. Like, everybody's like, "Oh, I've always dreamt of doing what you do." Okay, come do it. I get them for 3 days and they fizzle out. You know what I mean?
Well, people want,
because it's real work. But
I think they want to,
And I try to say, this isn't. I'm not special. I just really want it.
But it's not. The entry where I am isn't the entry level.
Right.
Just so you know.
Right.
Where I was at 14 was the entry level.
Yeah.
So I say to people all the time, theater. I saw a clip the other day, Denzel Washington. Some guy said, "Well, I've been acting on YouTube," and Denzel says, "Hey, man, you want what I got? You got to start at the theater. That's where you start. You want what I got? You got to start where I started."
You see such a difference. I mean, when I'm directing film, bringing a theater person in they're always off book. They always know their lines.
Yeah.
There's a difference because movie actors or part-time actors, they like to show up and, take a look at their pages, do their scene, take a look at their pages. But somebody that knows how to be on in front of an audience with no script in front of them, no cut, they got to know all their lines. Like
they got to know all their lines. They got to know their cues.
Yeah.
They also, like you, I worked with you. You've directed me. And I would come to you and say, could I say this? Could I say that? And see, now, another actor would come in and, someone with no experience would say, I've changed the lines. No, you can't change the lines till you're me.
Yeah.
You can't change the lines till
the thing that is, and I've talked about this when I've done interviews about directing and trusting the actors. You came to me and said, hey, you've got me here. There's not a lot for me on the page. Can I beef it up a little? And I said, sure, I don't care. In my mind, I'm like, God, I hope it's good. Like, I don't know. Because normally I would be like, well, let's just play with it. But you came back and you talked to the other actor and you ran through what you came up with. And it 100% elevated that small role because you were there for a very small role, but we made it much bigger. And
I thought it's like
the funny thing is the writing part of it that was small was because a lot of times I will go out on a limb and get a cameo, somebody that's famous or known. The reason I specifically, we were already friends, but you were just Grandpa Munster, and I'm making Las Vegas Frankenstein. Right. Like I don't even think the Munsters had come out yet, so I was like, this is gonna be huge, we got Grandpa Munster in our Frankenstein movie. It didn't come out quick enough for it to matter, but at the same time, it totally elevates the movie. But I love a lot of times I'll get a cameo, some star power to put the name out there, and they come and they don't want a lot of work. They don't want a lot of dialogue. Your friend Dwayne, who I love dearly, and I think I hold him as a higher bar of an actor than he holds himself. He always starts the conversation with, I don't want a lot of dialogue. Yeah, and I'm like, well, you're really good.
He holds his bar very high.
I don't know, but he never wants to do any dialogue.
Right,
but
he's lazy. But he's about how in The Irishman they kill a guy, but he said to Martin, "What if you make it a woman and keep the camera rolling?" And I'll say, she fell funny, which was a line he wrote. And then the next thing is, the other guy pulls out, Roy Winston or whatever the actor was, he pulls out a hatchet, and then he says, and then if you keep the camera rolling, I say, wait a minute, I want to bang her one more time. And then the other guy, if he looks at me, and then I go, ah. And the guy says, you're really sick. You need help, Francis. And he says, but all that's in the movie. He goes, she felt funny. And what does that do? That's what I try to do as a writer.
Just makes it real.
Well, I try to inform information without saying it.
Yeah.
Saying she felt funny means that he's killed a lot of people, and she felt funny.
Yeah.
Like the others fall a different way. And so that's how inferring information is so much better. And I think I'm a better writer because I understand that. But we learned, you do Matlock for a couple of years and you learn how to do exposition, which is extremely important.
There was a very interesting thing that happened on Las Vegas Frankenstein is I cast you because I wanted Grandpa Munster in my Frankenstein movie. But you're playing a detective and you made it. It felt very Matlocky, like the way
like the catching,
the way that you're like, oh, and then but no, but yeah, okay, well, maybe, and I was just like, I'm watching it, and I'm going, oh my gosh, this is brilliant, and it wasn't intended for me, and it's not like you're not being typecast or you could not play a different character. It just fit right into this funny B movie I'm making. You just brought this like TV detective that I needed, and
Yeah.
it was awesome.
Thank you.
Even the way you walk up, there was no poster. We superimposed posters and signs outside the theater, and you walk up and you look at it and you're like, and it just looks so much like that, like hit your mark, make that move, move on. It felt very Matlocky, and I loved it. I loved it.
Thank you. I did a movie last week, and I wanted to say to the director, lovely lady, terrific, and terrific director, by the way, lovely person, but she didn't have comms on, and she called cut too fast. It would be
Let
the
it
last
play
line
out.
cut.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to say to her. I thought, I've got to say that. That's something you only learn from experience, but you let an actor. The other actors were good. It's not let an actor like me, but the other actors were good too. They're very good actors, theater actors.
Yeah.
And, if you have actors working, don't say cut until they're done.
Yeah.
And that's I don't, nobody teaches you that in directing school, but I would teach you that if
We
I was.
we had this funny moment happen with Dwayne. So a lot of the cameos we get, they don't know the script or the material. I call in a lot of favors. I've been in the industry a long time. I know a lot of people. I'm usually like, can I just get you for a day just to help bump it? It doesn't help sell the movies as much as it used to.
Right.
But what it does is it gives my cast this like,
Oh, right.
they feel like we're doing it, and they're stoked and I'm stoked and everybody's stoked. So we have Dwayne come in to play this head coach, and we're used to like feeding lines to people that didn't have the script for a month or whatever. And he's looking, and Kayla, my producer / AD, starts reading a line. He goes, "Excuse me, sweetie, I'm acting." And it was like he just shut her down, kind of like you said, people cut too soon. She assumed too soon
That he didn't know
that
the
he
line.
didn't know the lines,
Right.
but he was really just like in the moment,
I remember I was doing a show. God, it was family. Chris McDonald was in it. I've been, I'm in so many shows. Sometimes I work on them 5 days, sometimes 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But family, whatever it was, I don't remember what it was. But there was a little kid, and I was playing the other attorney, I think, and asked the kid a question, and he answered it. And I was walking back to my mark, and I was looking at him, and he said the next line, because every kid actor knows all the lines.
Oh, of course, yeah.
He said the next line. I was like, son, I know nobody's taught you this yet, but at some point you're going to learn that this is actually what really is the acting part of the acting. It's not saying the words, it's what you do between the words. And, everybody broke up because it was truly, right.
Yeah.
It's sanity. But the kid just thought, I didn't know the next line. You watch your buddy Butch Patrick on the Munsters.
Yeah.
He's lipping every other kid's. He's literally, while Googie's talking, he's like, he knows he did it too.
We need to circle back to the circled model of Uncle Gil.
Thank you. We're making the Munsters. And Rob's having a hard time with legal at Universal. It was 1440. It was a part of Universal that I don't think exists anymore, where they made like the direct-to-video movies they would make.
Yeah.
Cujo 3 or Beethoven 6 or Woody Woodpecker or whatever. And thank God Rob Zombie. People don't know it. Thank God he did it, because Universal's 1440 was going to make a Munsters movie that Eddie was the star of, and there was going to be a sliding board that came from Eddie's room around the Munsters house down to the street, and it was going to be, like Wednesday, but it was going to be about
like
Eddie.
with the kid.
Right,
Oh.
but it was going to be about a little Eddie. Do you want to see that? The Munsters, where the Herman and Grandpa.
I mean, if I
Lily
was 9.
are the same. Right. Well, that's what they were going to do. They were going to make a movie for 9-year-olds, not adults, which is what Rob did. So coming back to this miracle.
It's also a miracle he went back to work for Universal.
Yeah,
He had- after House of a Thousand Corpses,
Right,
he had big problems with him.
You learn lessons.
Yeah.
You learn lessons. So thank you for circling back. So he says at one point he's so frustrated, and he's got to direct the movie. He goes, Dan, either you can convince him or Uncle Gilbert can't be in the movie, but I can't deal with it anymore. I got to work on the movie. So I took over, and I'm like, they didn't believe that they owned Uncle Gilbert, that they could use the creature from the Black Lagoon. And I was like, no, you had your employees, and I gave them, designed by Millicent Patrick, overseen by Bud Westmore, sculpted by Jack Cavan and Chris Mueller. Like, I know all this stuff.
Yeah.
Because thank God Bob Burns knew this stuff and everything. And so I was pulling pictures that I was showing them that the warts on Uncle Gilbert
are the exact same
warts on the
See,
creature
I had
mask.
always wondered if the Uncle Gilbert was a Don Post calendar mask.
The Don Post calendar mask was pulled from the Universal mold.
Right.
That was, it was pulled from the mold anyway. So
it would be one and the same
Yeah.
sculpt-wise.
Sculpt exactly the same.
Okay.
Yeah, the first mask was pulled from their mold.
I did not realize that.
Yeah. So, concurrent McHale's Navy. Remember, there's the episode where all the Don Post masks are on. Concurrent to the Munsters. I think they were about, McHale's Navy may have been 63, 64, 65. Excuse me, and the Munsters were 64.
I have a light in the museum that was used in both McHale's Navy and the Munsters.
Oh, that's genius. Yeah. Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm almost done. Thank you for letting me get back to the story. So, I proved to them it's the same mask. And then I've secured one of the Don Post reissue masks. And then Don Post, at the last minute, says, Dan, I can't sign off on it because I don't own Don Post anymore. And I don't want to put myself in any legal problem. Oh, God, Don, please, no, I can't do it. So now I've got them convinced that they own it. But then Don Post won't let me use that mask, which isn't really from the same mold because it's been redone. So I called John Gilbert, and John Gilbert discovered Adam Dougherty, Creature Kid. Do you know his work?
Yeah.
Yeah, terrific young man, fabulous. Talented beyond, sculpted at 16 or 17. He sculpted the new creature model for Mobius. This little bastard is so talented. So, and he was kind of our ward and, discovered by Gilbert and everything. But the reason we found him is because John bought a creature mask on eBay. He goes, they're selling, this is like a pull from the original mold. And this kid, the kid says he sculpted it. So he gets the kid on the phone and the kid says, no, I sculpted it. Well, this thing is exactly.
It's identical.
It's exactly identical. John, do you still have that mask? Yes. Creature Kid, will you sign to let them use your mask as Uncle Gilbert? Yes. So that mask has to go from Arizona, where John had it, to me in Budapest in 3 days because it has to be kind of repainted and reconfigured and we pull it off.
That's awesome.
So we meet Rob Zombie and John Gilbert sells him Uncle Gilbert. And then Uncle Gilbert's in the movie because John Gilbert had the Uncle Gilbert mask.
How crazy.
God is good.
That's an insane full circle right
Think
there.
of this Creature Kid's mask that he sculpted at 15 or 16 years old
is
in
Uncle
the Gilbert in the Munsters.
Movie. God, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that is so awesome.
It's so great. My greatest regret is I sent the mask back to Johnny Gilbert. I should have stolen it. I don't know what I was thinking.
And you, being there in Budapest, it had to just be that they kept the shooting so secretive.
Yeah, it was.
And I
so
felt
weird.
like the reason that they did that is because when you announce Rob Zombie's doing a movie, they instantly start slamming on, oh, Sherry's gonna play Herman, and oh, this or that, and they just didn't want negative vibes while making their childhood dream.
Yeah,
that's all I can think.
It was sad that the news leaked before we left.
Yeah,
and I was asked if I leaked it, and I said, "Do you see that it says Dan Roebuck? And by the way, my name's Daniel Roebuck. And do you see that it didn't say that I played Grandpa?" The first suggestion was Richard Brake said Dan Roebuck's playing an unidentified character. Well, you know what it was? I figured it out. I said, I'll tell you exactly what it was. It was the goddamn COVID. The people at the COVID place had a form that said Jeff Daniels Herman, Sherry Zombie Lily, Dan Roebuck the Count.
And nobody knew who the Count was.
Nobody knew who the Count was.
Ah.
So that's who leaked it. Universal in their stupid insanity of
COVID.
going such deeply into the fear of COVID, the nonsense. You know, we had to have these stupid meetings. I regret all of this, and I'm mad, and I hope someone sues these people one day for what they put us through. But you know, they said, well, you will be wearing a collared mask, and I said, I'm not doing that. I said, I'm wearing a rubber nose. I'm not wearing a mask on top of a rubber nose. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Dude, they made those women, my beautiful makeup women, God, they were two beautiful ladies. I love them so much. They made them wear masks and a plastic shield.
Yeah.
So, can you imagine
being artistic?
Yeah. And looking at the reflection of the light hitting the plastic as you're trying to lay down a seam on a nose made of gelatin. Insanity, dude.
Wow.
So that stuff just drives me crazy. They went all in.
The prosthetics look so beautiful in that movie.
Wayne Toth,
he's incredible.
Yeah, he's a great guy. So here's something interesting. I hope this plays. Before that, I think we're going to pull this off. V. Neal is doing a vampire show.
Yeah, I saw that.
In March. You should come down because I think I'm going to put on the grandpa makeup.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because I'm, Count Dracula.
Yeah.
And I spoke to Wayne about that today to see if he could help us pull that off. Because I still have all the hair elements. They just have to be reblocked.
Yeah.
But I saw her this weekend and she said, we'll handle all that. But how great would that be? Because I've never been grandpa on American soil.
Right.
And Wayne, I don't think he's going to be able to do it, but he's never. I was always jealous that Jeff got a makeup test here before he left, and I never did.
Yeah. Well, the photos that you have are awesome, and the film to me is an instant classic. The ridicule that it's faced is just because of stupidity. But you know what? It's just, God, it's so good. It's everything I've always wanted as a kid.
Thank you.
It was everything.
And Rob, it's everything Rob wanted.
The only thing that it's not that I wanted is a series. I would like another one. I want to see the next chapter, and we probably won't get the next chapter.
I don't think so.
But if it's a standalone, I love it, man. I loved everything about it. I never thought Jeff that wouldn't have been my choice. I wouldn't have seen that in him, but he was terrific. He was great.
He's terrific.
And I thought Sherry played Lily to the T.
Terrific.
Yeah.
I sat down with someone and said, a friend of mine, a dear friend, I love the guy. He goes, she was making fun of Yvonne DeCarlo, and I was like, no.
What?
No, she wasn't. He goes, she's clearly. I said, you don't understand. We live together. I'm telling you, she's not only was she not making fun of Yvonne DeCarlo, nobody in our group worked harder than she did, because she knows what she's up against.
Yeah.
And it's
one of my least favorite things is, I use this as a comparison all the time. The world wants to see Johnny Depp and whatever her name was breaking up on documentary form.
Oh.
But goddamn Rob Zombie for putting his wife in movies and his muse and giving her good parts because she's a fantastic actress and a great looking lady. Like, goddamn him for being in love,
right,
and wanting to work with his partner. But let's watch these two fight in court for fun.
Crap on each other's beds.
Oh God!
Do you know? Woody Allen put Mia Farrow in many movies. I put Marcia Dietlein, who's not my wife, but my muse, in all my movies because Marcia Dietlein is fantastic.
Right.
And I put Dwayne Whitaker because he's fantastic.
Yeah.
And Tim Goodwin because he's fantastic. And Maddie Dundon is in many of my movies because she's fantastic. It's not like some. Why would I not want to work with? And by the way, I told this whole story. Do you know what people said? They said he only hires his friends. I just told a story about how God wanted me to play Grandpa Munster. That was his intention for me. So Rob Zombie making the Munsters was something that was a foregone conclusion.
There's an interesting thing there too with you being someone that is so in touch with God, have a personal relationship.
I do.
And
Hopefully, he thinks as highly of me as I do of him.
You know what? There's a thing. Sometimes I think the world of people, and they might not like me. I don't know.
That's what I say. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, especially in the mid '90s, Rob Zombie would be somebody who was not a man of God, and for you to have such a great working relationship with a diversity, basically, and with no judgment or like. I could tell you, I have a Rob Zombie tattoo on the back of my arm, piece of artwork that he did. And there's a pentagram on its forehead. And I was dating a girl in the early 2000s. And when she discovered that, being a Christian, she was like, "Oh, we can't be together. This is not okay." I was like, "I'm not evil. I love that piece of art. I'm not evil." And
I know, but it's not. Rob Zombie doesn't worship the devil.
No, but his work could be. I mean, in a lot. I mean,
it's art. Like,
yeah,
it's an art. It's art. I mean, I can't speak to Rob Zombie's religious motivations. It's certainly not my business. But Rob Zombie leads an exemplary, kind, gracious life, as far as I can see.
I guess what I'm trying to get to is you've not held any judgment. I don't see you hold judgment over someone who may not be walking the path you're walking.
Oh gosh, no, that's not my job. My job is to love and be an example. That's if I have any contract with Christ, it's and I fail a lot, so let's not think I think too highly of myself. I fail a lot. I'm looking you right in the eye and tell you that. I fail a lot. I don't know if I've said it enough, but the expectation of our mutual contract is if I'm going to espouse being a follower of his, to the best of my ability, I should live a life that proves his love as possible. People asked me once at a film festival, do I put non-Christians in my faith-based movies? And I literally said, I don't understand the question.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing. Even posing this question to you, it feels like I'm like stepping in the mud. But
no, you're not. No,
but really, she'll never listen to this, and I love her dearly. But my mother-in-law is a heavily religious human who would not be of similar graciousness.
Yeah, listen. You just got to live your best, be your best life. People will see. Look, I do believe people who may not believe in a higher power or whatever might look at me or hear me. I just did a talk at the Pauline Sisters did a Apostles Media retreat in which Catholic people, I'm a Catholic, came together in the beginning of the year to have a spiritual weekend, to pray together, and to take, be good exemplars of our faith out in the world, right? And I spoke at this thing and said, I'm in Terrifier 3. It's a horrible
horror movie.
Horror movie.
Yeah.
I do believe that Damien is turning it what we will find out, I believe, it will be a religious. He certainly hinted toward it, that it will be a good versus evil.
Even in part 2, that seems to
to come. Yeah, with angels and swords and whatnot. In part 3, you remember we had the statue of Mary that kind of seemed like it was wanting to have a say in something. But when you read every interview I've done about Terrifier, I say God is good, and I say things I'm saying here. I'm reminding you and the reader and the listener that none of this is possible without that faith. You can't. If I showed you pictures of me as a clown and this thing that they did, you'd go,
"Oh, I've seen that picture too."
You'd think it's not possible.
It's
to
me. I always feel, when you see that early picture and where it's circled back to, I feel like that means the missteps you believe you've taken, or the mistakes you've made, you've stayed on that right path the entire time. That's where it was. That was the setup. Then there was a rising action and a falling action, and this is the
reward.
end.
And the falling action, the sin. Let's say, do I believe in myself too much? Am I a good friend to people? Have I let my former wife down? Do I let my current wife down? Do I let my children down? My friends down? I don't want to do that, but I have. I've done it. I've not been the best exemplary person.
But nobody is.
Right. But so getting back to it is important, And the deal, it's funny where you get your faith. There's an Odd Couple episode in which, if you look at my Facebook, I actually said, can anybody find the Odd Couple references? There was a guy dressed as a monk, and I was holding a board that had 3 strikes on it. Because remember the Great Odd Couple where they're just being overworked and they go to a monastery and they've just got to relax, but Oscar starts gambling and they're taking
I never
sugar.
saw this.
Oh my God. They have no dice. He goes, we'll mark the sugar cubes. We don't have any money. He goes, we'll gamble with IO thous, because they're all dressed as monks. I mean, it's just ridiculous. At one point, there's no paper, nothing to read in their little room. So Oscar pulls out his toothpaste, and Felix is like, what are you doing? He goes, I'm reading my toothpaste. And after a few beats, Felix goes, can I read it when you're done? You're like, and I was in a room just like their room on a tiny little bed. I took a picture of me reading my toothpaste. Anyway, in the episode, Oscar and Felix are caught. Oscar's caught gambling, but then Felix, they're like, you're gonna have to pay a penance. And Felix says, well, and they go, no, you're gonna have to pay a penance too, because we also don't like our people who turn in our fellow man, right? So they've got to stay silent for 24 hours. And of course they can't. They're trying to make each other talk. And at the end, it's such a simple thing. And it's in a comedy TV show. At the end, Felix says, we're deeply ashamed that we couldn't do the simple penance, and we'll pack and leave. And the monk says, geez, I wish you wouldn't. And he goes, well, but we failed. He said, people fail. You just forgive them. Everybody fails.
Yeah.
Now that's in a TV show.
Yeah.
I remember that everybody fails. So why are we so hard on people when they fail?
Yeah.
Why don't we just say,
try better.
We try better. You try better. Yeah. The people, like there's one guy who just doesn't like me at all. And I tried, Christ says, do 7 times 7. I don't know if I hit that number yet, but every year or two, I'd reach out and say, I'm just thinking about you, and I hope you're okay, and happy birthday. And but no movement.
Yeah.
No movement, because sometimes it's easier for people, like they do to Rob Zombie. It's easier to just hate.
It's easy to hate. Hate is easy.
No, forgiveness is hard.
Yeah.
And tolerance is hard.
And also, it seems to be anymore. I don't know. I could just be getting grumpy, but the appreciation of somebody's efforts is getting harder and harder, because somebody else could have made that Munsters movie and it would have been dog shit. And maybe somebody could make it great, J.J. Abrams or something. Who knows? But
I don't know.
But
based on Star Wars.
But not. Rob Zombie wasn't going to not make it great. It's his. That's
his
where
passion.
It's his passion. Look at House of Thousand Corpses, giant Munster Go Home poster
right.
on the side of the wall. I mean, the Dragula song from Hellbilly Deluxe. There's nobody better for the job.
Right.
And I would like to consider myself better for the job, but I'm not, because he has the experience I don't have.
And he knew how to. It was a very low budget movie.
Yeah.
But you can't tell that when you see it. It looks gorgeous.
I love it. I love that movie. I don't want to skip your films.
May I have a little of your water?
I didn't ever open it.
Well, even if you did, I'm not that guy.
I don't want to skip. I want to talk about your writing and directing, but I also really do want to touch on Terrifier, because I remember when you called me so excited to tell me you were Santa Claus.
Oh, yeah.
When that teaser came out. And it was just a teaser poster or something. And Terrifier has been, in the horror world, it just it did what we all want to do. I made a little movie called Teddy Told Me To, and I wanted that to hit like Terrifier, but they don't all hit.
Well, it's because you really can't manufacture lightning in a bottle.
No. The thing is, I'll be blatantly honest, and I've been pretty open about it. I don't love the Terrifier series.
Oh,
It's
interesting.
not my type of movie. I think the first one is got no story whatsoever. I Everybody's like, oh, but the effects and the gore. When I was 20, I loved gore like that, but I've done that actually a lot. Like the bisecting of the body I did in Ed Gein in 2005. Like I, as a fellow effects artist, I appreciate everything they've done in Terrifier, and I love Damien, and I love David, and I love the success they've had. Not my cup of tea as far as the series they made, but that's neither here nor there. I might not, people might not enjoy all my movies. It doesn't mean that I
Yeah, they
dislike.
can't like
Yeah,
you. No.
it's fine.
What I say about Damien and David is it couldn't have happened to two nicer guys.
Oh my gosh, and two more deserving guys.
Yeah.
They never quit. Like Terrifier didn't just hit. Terrifier was a slow build, and I'd see them at every show. We were across from each other at every convention, and then it hit Netflix. And when it got on Netflix at Halloween, the rest of the world saw it. But there was a good year promoting that movie before it ever, hit. And then when Terrifier 2 came out, it broke the world, and then people found. I just don't. I'm not a. I don't know. As a slasher fan, like I love
It's
slasher
funny you
movies.
said I don't remember guns in the first. And
Yeah,
second one.
in the diner in the first
Oh.
one, and it's just like, it's weird. I do think that they hit something so. There's a thing that I probably talked to this with you before. I find that white and black are like some kind of a primal cult classic builder. When you look at Kiss
Yeah.
or Insane Clown Posse or Ghostface, Michael Myers, in a lot of ways, that white with black just hits
Yeah.
like cult classic.
I think
wise.
also having David be a very good
Creature performer.
creature
Yeah.
performer, and not letting the character talk, I think has had a huge impact.
Sure.
You can't and you're not the only one who tried to have that thing
Yeah.
and make that thing.
Right.
But many have.
Yeah.
Countless people have. But there's something about the style of panache, or let's based on everything we've been saying. We say Damien's a nice guy. And
He
not
deserved
to
it.
say you're not,
Right.
but it was Damien's turn.
Yeah. Yeah. And I still believe I'll get there. You know what I mean?
Well, I'll get
It,
there.
it,
you know.
it's
But you'll get what God intends for you to
sure.
get.
Sure.
And when Damien doesn't have a wife and kids, you have that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when you really start breaking it down, and you see those poor people lost their houses, and poor people and everywhere lost their houses. But it's people say, well, how can we have sympathy? Well, when everything you love and is Billy Crystal said, it's the house we raised my children and my grandchildren. Like it's not a little thing. So you better have empathy for these people.
Yeah.
Because they're not just actors, entertainers. They're people. But when you look at what someone has and you don't have, you never look at what you have and they don't have.
Right.
You never look at it. There's it's public knowledge. It wasn't for many years, but I wasn't ever gonna be in Home Alone, so I have to watch my words. I was used as a negotiation ploy to get Daniel Stern to sign for Home Alone, and this is public knowledge.
I didn't know this.
Oh yeah, I have to tolerate these stories every Christmas. 10 things you didn't know about Home Alone? So they did a documentary on that movies that made us, and they talk about Home Alone, and they talk about me and how they brought me out. But
I must have known this because I did watch that episode.
yeah, you know it. And they said, Joe Pesci and I didn't have chemistry. So I'm just in a nutshell. That's not really the story. The story really is.
Story is it wasn't your part to have.
It wasn't my part to have. Daniel Stern, it was his part. He balked at working 2 extra weeks for no money. They forced him to get me. They colluded and had a plan, which was they were going to bring me out and say, there's no chemistry between him and Pesci. We have to have Daniel Stern.
Yeah.
But they didn't tell me that.
Right.
They told me that there was no chemistry between you and Daniel Stern.
Yeah.
And I said to Chris Columbus, respectfully, and I did say it, I remember saying it respectfully, Chris, we have 1.5 pages in a van together, and then the rest of the movie, the kid's hitting us in the face with bricks and nails.
Yeah.
So what's it matter how much chemistry we have?
Yeah.
We're not standing together in the movie. That made complete sense to me, but not him. I recommended other actors. Anyway, ultimately, through a freak accident, I knew someone who was dating a business affairs person who told me the whole truth, that I was only there as a ploy. So they did this documentary, and instead of just saying, look, we took advantage of Dan, we used him, they told their cover story instead of telling the truth. So that bothers me. But let's look at it now. You look at everything somebody has. Daniel Stern made a lot of money for Home Alone 2. About what did he have that I didn't have? He had all that money, but he also had now agents who said, you can't be an ensemble movie, Dan. You're the star.
Yeah.
You're a star. And Dan,
he hasn't worked.
Your price is $1 million a movie. You're not going to work for less than $1 million a movie. Now, he has worked over time, but if you, Tom, look at his IMDb page and mine, and you go in 1987 or 88, whenever that was, it's like, now why is that? Because since I was never in Home Alone, I could be on Matlock.
Yeah.
And because I was never in Home Alone, I could play Jay Leno.
Yeah.
And then I could be, and then I could be Grandpa Munster.
And that's
if I was
why
in Home Alone, I wouldn't be
comes
Grandpa
back to
Munster.
that following that right path.
Yeah, the path.
And
so it was
I think it's
never meant to be mine, only meant to be his. I wish they would have put me in the documentary, and I would have said, "Thank God I wasn't in Home Alone. My God, my career, my not just my ability to make money. He made more. I don't really care, but my experiences have been myriad. Because I wasn't in Home Alone. What a gift it was to lose that part.
No, there you go.
Yeah, and not actually lose the part, but never have.
No, never have it.
But they tried to not pay me. That was what really was getting sticky.
Yeah,
and they had to, and I put all the money as a down payment on a house, so I was home alone.
Yeah,
after all.
that I've had a similar situation happen. I was hired on a movie, and they paid me a lot of money, and then on day 2 they replaced me, and they made me feel like it was my fault.
Sure.
But then the film turned union, and producer brought one of his friends on and flipped him union, and that all.
Oh, flipped his friend union.
Yeah.
That's shitty.
And it was actually the friend's brother, so they couldn't hire the friend originally because he was union, and then when it flipped, he got him and his brother. It was a thing, but. They wanted their money back was the crazy part, and I was like, absolutely not.
No way.
I've spent that money.
Yeah. No way. No, and isn't that horrible? They would have a Machiavellian plan to humiliate me and to make, my agents and managers
crazy. And
think that I was difficult.
It's a crazy thing when people don't have the foresight of like there's an ego attached to all artists, right?
Of course.
So when you lost that, you thought, what do you mean I lost this? I'm a great actor. I
didn't even think that. I just thought, I understood. I literally recommended other actors.
Yeah.
I said, well, if you're replacing me, think of this. And they didn't, again, Chris Columbus, he's a good guy, I'm sure, but he didn't say, all they had to do was say, Dan, I'm not allowed to tell you this, but, just play along with this and it'll work out. No, because they were going to, but everybody loved John, what was the name? John, the guy who did Breakfast Club and everything. See,
John Hughes. Yeah.
John Hughes. I should have known the minute I stepped out of the car, Chris Columbus said, you don't look anything like the audition. And then John Hughes wet handshake me. I got all the information 2 days earlier. Nobody like if now I would read all of that
Yeah.
and know
It was a 7.
know what was coming.
That sucks.
It doesn't suck. I'm not in Home
No,
Alone.
but you are the Count. There's no, you know what? There's not an action figure of Marv.
There is actually
Oh,
from NECA.
is
They
it?
did it, yeah.
Oh, well, when you were on Terrifier, I mean that movie was a completely independent, non-union film, and it blew up.
Well, Terrifier was we were union
On part 3.
Yeah,
Okay,
part 3 was union for the actors.
so it was a SAG film, but I don't believe the crew was union.
Oh, they may not have been.
But I mean that movie exploded into the ethos
Yeah.
and has made its mark on horror history.
Well, there's a thing when a thing hits the zeitgeist, I guess is the word that people use. Art the Clown is now omniscient, omnipresent, not omniscient, omnipresent, like when you were a young man, like Freddy Krueger was.
Yeah.
There were dolls of Freddy Krueger,
Yeah,
but children could never have gone to see the
right.
Nightmare on Elm Street
Right.
movies.
Now, my kids know who Art the Clown is, but they do not.
No,
they've
they're not
never
gonna see
seen
them.
that.
But you know it's strange? People bring kids to the conventions. And I mean, they did this with the Rob Zombie. And they go, oh, he loves these. No, he's 7, but he watches all the movies with us.
I don't let my kids watch them. Not yet.
You've got beautiful children. Of course you don't let them watch. Come on, give me a break.
So, yeah, just tell us a little bit about the experience on Terrifier 3 and the people you were working with. And I know you know a lot of them from the convention circuit, but how did you get involved?
Well, I know Mike Levy, Steve Delasala, I know, and Jason, Mike's brother. Tyler Main did a movie that Scout starred in, and I'm in, and called Penance Lane, and Tyler starred in. And I gave Mike Levy and his crew a lot of credit because they were these young kids, and Mike was playing my son, but he was also like producing, and they had the cameras, and they were doing everything. And I watched him work, and I said to Tammy, we're going to make Getting Grace, because, I was trying to raise a couple $100,000, but I said, if we can't raise a couple $100,000, I'll make the movie like they're making this movie.
Yeah.
I'll just get these guys to do it. So I was very impressed with them. So that's how long I know them. And then when we did Getting Grace, I needed some pickups, but my DP was in Japan. So I hired them, and they did the additional shots, and they did the title sequence, and Mike's in it for a second, and they did great by me, and we just stayed in touch. And then we've always kind of supported each other emotionally, if you're having a hard time with the movie or you needed a favor, you needed a question about. So, and they used, when they made Stream, they used some of my crew, and then I stole some of their crew.
I did. I lent some effects to Stream.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I made a head of Felissa Rose.
Oh, you did?
And sent it in. Yeah.
Oh, thank you for doing that. She was my wife in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and I went to Stream, and I did the Munsters, and Damien was the effects guy on Stream.
Yeah.
As you know. And he's, he's putting this rig on me, and he's being, and I was like, come on, just, Damien, here. And I pull this shit on. And you could see that, I'm not a complainer.
Right, you're not. Effects artist dream, actually.
I did the 3 hours, 3.5 hours a day. I was loving every minute of it. So he could see, I think I was a team player, and we all hit it off. He's a very, very nice man. And then, one day we're at a convention, and when they said they were doing part 3, I said, Mike, who am I playing? Like Whitaker Wood.
That's a total Dwayne Whitaker.
And what is my part? Am I in that? So Mike goes, actually, he's got a really great part for you. He's going to give you. And then Damien pulled me aside, I think that same convention, and said it was Santa Claus. I was like, wow, that's great.
That's awesome.
So shooting it was great.
So let's talk a little bit about your writing and directing career. I mean, you've directed several films, but how far back did that start?
Oh, well, so, I mean, let's say I started directing when I was 6. It's just
Yeah, yeah.
Kathleen told me I had to. By the way, about that story, if you remember that was the same day we learned the 9 times tables. So I can't multiply or divide anything by 9.
Did you ever know, like, when I do 9 times tables, because I don't know my times tables, anything times 9, you just put the finger down on this hand. So if it's like 2 times 9, it's 18. 5 and, and then, yeah, that's 9
I
times.
don't,
It's a thing. Oh, I'm sorry, 18. 2, second finger. So it's 1 and then an 8 is 18.
18.
3 times 9 would be 27. 2 and then 7. 4 times 9, 36. That's how I know. I don't know how to do math, but I only know my 9 times table.
What do you do if you're wearing mittens? You're
I
screwed.
don't. Yeah, you can't do times tables. I could do 10s,
I was
9s.
just watching what you just did. I have no idea what.
Yeah, no, you just put your finger down.
No,
so,
no, I see what you're doing.
No,
but you go 3 times 9. You put your
third finger down. So
Right.
it's 27.
How is that 27?
2 and then 7.
Oh,
Yeah.
3 times 9. Third finger down.
No. That was 3 times 9 is 27.
Okay,
So-
4 times 9.
4 times 9 would be this one, so it's 36.
Oh my gosh, that's creepy McCreepster, dude.
Yeah, that's like counting on your fingers plus.
That's I don't like that whole thing of not having fingers. What happened was at some point, I did a lot of theater. I've done many. I couldn't even tell you 40 plays.
That you've directed.
No, that I've been in.
Oh, that you've been in.
And then at some point I started directing back in the 80s theater, because I'm always busy, because I'm like you know what I mean? There's no such thing as downtime. That's the other thing I don't understand, actors, and like I don't, if I'm not doing a movie or a documentary or writing a movie or I'm writing something, I'm doing something.
Doing something.
So I don't like the idea of not acting. So I started directing in the theater, and then we started a theater company, and I started directing myself. And now this would be called a vanity production, but your pal Dan's smart enough to not do plays that he wouldn't be excellent in. So we would choose the plays, and I would direct them, sometimes co-direct them. With I give a kid a chance or whatever to learn how to direct, so I started this learning how to direct something that I'm in.
That seems incredibly hard.
Well, what you learn in the theater, especially, brilliant. If the show's going slow in the theater, I could speed it up. If someone was standing in the wrong place, I could cross over to them and I could say, let me talk to you, and I could move them into their light. And I started realizing that you could actually manipulate the situation from within. And then, I always knew that I was going to write and direct. And when Getting Grace came along, Jeff Lewis had written a script that was, had the bones of a story. But I learned many years later that he was a young man when he wrote it. So what it was missing was just age.
Yeah.
Was seasoning. So he and I rewrote it together. And, he let me have a good pass at it. And we all, he gave me full reign to do what I wanted to do. And I knew that I would, when it was brought to me, I was asked to play a little part. And I was like, no, I not only want to play the lead, I want to direct it. And so it turned out good, because I have a good ear, and I had a great actress, Maddie Dundon, I discovered right out of my high school in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. She stars in it. And that was the beginning. And then the second...
What year was that?
That was,
like 17?
9 years ago. 2017, 2016. Okay. 8 years ago. It's our 23rd. I don't remember exactly. Then the next one I wrote and directed with Gracie, and the next one I directed myself. That's the Hail Mary. And then the next one I wrote and directed with Spencer Fulmar. and then the one in between that I did a rewrite pass and directed for these other guys. That's called Tuesday's Flu. That's going to be a heck of a movie. It's got Jackie Earle Haley and John Grise and Ross Marquand from The Walking Dead and Tony Todd and myself.
That's awesome. Yeah.
But what's joyful for me, Tom, is these characters. When I direct the movie, I'm not Woody Allen playing Woody Allen.
Right.
I'm playing.
You're acting.
You know, the Saint Nick character is so not me, and the character in Tuesday's Flu, he's a mobster. It's not me, and you know, and I have joy really figuring that out. And when you're directing and you're the sole director and you're playing the part and you're producing, you know, that's a lot of hats to wear. And directing and acting isn't hard. Producing and acting is hard.
Yeah.
Because the producerial part of you is looking at the weather, looking at the time, looking at the clock, looking at the other actor.
And also thinking about tomorrow.
Yeah, and thinking about tomorrow and thinking, did we get what we did yesterday?
Yeah.
So you're 1,000% right.
Yeah.
Directing myself isn't hard. And getting people to trust you, because, you know, I would do, it's one thing for my friends, Dwayne, and, you know, I direct them and I'm in the scene, and so I'm directing them, but they don't hear me directing myself. But Dwayne is smart enough to see that I'm also altering my performance, you know, in a moment. But, you know, convincing, I was glad I didn't have any scenes with Jackie Earle Haley, but my scenes with the other actors, everybody was, you know, okay with it.
Yeah.
And I'm not, many actors are leaning toward this now.
Yeah.
You know.
I've seen a lot of people. I worked on a movie, a really good movie actually, called Dust Up, and the director Ward Roberts also stars in it.
Oh, good.
And it's just one of those things that it's like, I find it hard for me as a director to imagine. I mean, I'll throw myself in as a cameo, but to be holding the meat and potatoes of the movie, I'm not an actor first and foremost, but
you direct and do the effects. It's the same thing.
It kind of is, but I don't technically do the effects as much as my guys do, and I just direct them. You know, I've become. I'll tell you what, man. I never knew in my life that I want. That's not true. When I was very young, I made home movies. I was a backyard movie kid. I VHS camera. Actually, all my cameras are in here because I always loved making movies since I was a little kid. But I didn't know until Teddy told me to that this is my destiny. Like, I love effects. I've 25 years, great career. I've worked with all my heroes. I've made some amazing art. I love what I do. I've found a new canvas. I will direct and produce films for the rest of my life. I love it. It's the most, I've never felt so much satisfaction as when we do our screening. We got one coming up on February 3rd, but to do a premiere and have the whole theater sold out and people actually emoting at the screen, laughing, yelling, screaming, whatever.
Yeah, you love it when they're like, you know, they're going to laugh and they laugh.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to jump
or sometimes you don't know they're going to laugh and they, I mean, we showed a movie across country and it wasn't intended to be funny, but there's some funny moments that people laugh at, and that's just part of it, you know.
I'm sorry again. Forgive me, folks.
It's like 2 a.m.
I like writing and knowing. You know, it's just interesting, and it all comes from you. They say you don't know what you don't know, but I'm going to tell you something else, Tom. You don't know what you do know. Now, I'm a completely untrained actor, untrained director, untrained editor, but I do the first edit on my movies.
Yeah.
I direct the movie. So you don't, but I stand next to Tim Hunter and Andy Davis and 1,000 TV directors, the names you wouldn't know, who, like Chris Hibbler, he started as an AD. His father was Winston Hibbler, directed for Walt Disney all the time. Chris AD'd his dad's stuff. Then he became a first, then a UPM, then a director. And he was as great as any director I've ever worked with. So all this stuff that I've learned that, you know, I didn't write down, but
the experience.
But it goes into your brain. So you don't know what you know. And then you're surprised, and we'd be doing a play, and I'd say, Jim, you've got you're actually rushing the joke, but what you have to do is stop, turn to me and deliver the first line, then look at her, then deliver the second line back to me. But you've got to do it like that. Stop, turn to me, look at her, turn back to me. And I said, you'll get a much bigger laugh.
Yeah.
The next night we do it, and he goes, I don't know how you know that. And the truth is, I don't know how I know it.
Just from being around.
But I know it from watching. How would Tony Randall do it?
It's there's an interesting thing. Like I said, never had an ambition professionally to be a director. But after I did Las Vegas Frankenstein, I wrote Charlie Band a letter and said, I just need to thank you because I went through film school at Full Moon and didn't know it. Just watching him make his movies in 5-6 days.
Don't tell him that because he'll start charging people.
No, I did tell him. I said, I picked up so much of the right things to do from him. Also, I've left off what didn't work.
Right.
But Charlie runs a very organized. I mean, it is. We make movies in 5 days and we don't do pickup shots. I mean, it is. He runs a tight ship at Full Moon now. I know it was different in the 80s with the partying and stuff, but it is so fun. He never raised his voice while I was there. We always have a blast and we finish the film. And I've carried a lot of that into Plan 10. Like we do 5-day movies, but there's just something about being so organized. And, maybe I don't always give the actors as many takes as they want, but that's part of getting the day done.
Yeah.
But
you get what?
But it is just that. No, I give 3. You get 3 takes. So nail it on the third one.
Yeah.
We're good. But at the end of the day, I just never. I picked up so much from the 25 years experience over 100 films of what to do and what not to do that makes it so easy for us to just like. I don't want to say easy. That's the wrong word. But so fluid for us to just get through these little movies. But I love it. I love directing, and I think that you would make a fantastic director because of your experience, but also your mannerism, your appreciation for the people around you and their craft. Because that is something an effects artist, nobody appreciates the craft,
Yeah, they want to know why didn't it work the first time?
Yeah.
Well, because it's not this isn't science.
Yeah.
This is art.
Yeah.
So sometimes art doesn't work.
And I always say they'll take like 300 takes of them reaching out to grasp each other's hands.
Right.
But when it's time to slit the throat, you get one.
Come on, we gotta go.
Oh, nope, didn't work. Cut it. Yeah. We're moving on. And it's like, just give me one more.
How long is this going to take? Well, yeah, you weren't worried about that when. Well, it's just like, look, your first AD at about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, we're losing the light. And I'm always like, hey, you may not have learned this in school, but did you know that from the moment the sun comes up, the earth is revolving away from... So you're losing the light
at minute
12
1.
seconds after sunrise. The light's going away. You think it's getting brighter. It's actually going away. We're just turning. So... what are you rushing for at 3? You should have been rushing at 9.